sound? Here. How does it like sound?
Start.
Dirt?
Yeah, you're good.
Dirt? Are you gonna be controlling this?
Definitely not. That guy's in. I'm not. That guy came at. All the way back. Down. All the way in the back. You know, you. Hey, Josiah, go with. I mean, not Josiah. Steven, go with Josiah. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. The board meeting will now come to order. Welcome, everyone. I just want to remind everyone, if you're interested in speaking, to please fill out a public comment request sheet. It's in the back of the room. And if anyone comes in late, I'll remind again. But you'll want to hand them to Kate, who will be here at the end of the dais here. So you just hand them to her if it's after since the meeting has started. Okay. We will start the meeting with our land acknowledgement statement, and I will read that. We acknowledge that the Franklin-McKinley School District and our schools are located in the Muwekma Ohlone Nation, the sovereign nation and original people of the skies, land, and waters, where we learn and work. The Muwekma Ohlone people are the stewards of these lands and of the teaching and learning that comes from and responds to the needs of the land and people who share it. May our daily lives and work, learning, teaching, and community engagement support the evolving vision of the Muwekma Ohlone for their community and these lands. Next, we will have our flag salute, and we are honored to have McKinley School conduct our flag salute today. So you may proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand and remove your hats for the presentation of the colors? Color guard advance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Post the colors. Prepare to post the colors. Post the colors. Color guards dismissed. Thank you. Please be seated. I am Jacob Guadarrama from 6th grade, from McKinley Elementary.
I'm Bonnie Gonzalez. I am in 4th grade and McKinley.
I am Josiah Jordan, and I am in 6th grade, and my school is McKinley Elementary.
My name is Delilah, and my last name is Gonzalez, and I am 6th grade from McKinley.
Hi, my name is Steven, and I'm in 6th grade at McKinley Elementary.
Round of applause. Great. Okay, next on the agenda is item 3.03. Approve, disapprove additions to the agenda. Are there any by the board? Seeing none, item 3.05. I'm sorry, 3.04. Approve, disapprove order of the agenda. Are there any? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3.05. Report of action taken in closed session.
The board unanimously approved the closed session minutes of September 12th. There are no other actions to report.
Thank you, Superintendent. Next item on the agenda is item 4, oral communications. Members of the public may address the board on any issue within subject matter jurisdiction of the board or agenda items. Members of the public may also address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items. In accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. No action can be taken on any agenda items at this time. Questions may be referred to the administration or put on a future agenda. Okay, so I want to remind everybody, if you came in late, that you must fill one of these out. If you would like to provide public comment, and we do have a stack of comments requests here. And if you fill one of these out, please give it to Kate here at the end of the dais here, and she'll either come pick it up or you can give it to her. Okay, because of the large number of speakers, we're going to limit the public comment to 2 minutes each instead of 3 to save time. Otherwise, we'll be here till after midnight. All right. Okay, so the first person on the public comment is Noel V.
Sorry about the spill. It's a cran apple. Anyways, good morning, board members. Big Pharma rep and shareholder here, and healthcare stocks have never been better. I want to thank you, progressive educators, and those of you who glorify gender ideology and LGBTQ lifestyles, except you, Mark Cooper. Thank you. Thanks to you guys. You will help steer these kids further into gender ideology by affirming their delusions. My stocks have been soaring. According to a report from Grandview Research, the trans surgery sector saw nearly $2 billion in financial growth in 2021, and even more since then. So much that I myself had to take a job, extra job, moonlighting as a genital mutilating surgeon. Gender affirming surgeon. Currently in the US, there's a small percentage of these kids that identify as trans and have done various transition surgeries and pharmaceutical treatments. We have to bump their numbers up. My stocks depend on it. It starts with you in the schools doing your part to first socially transition these kids by entertaining their delusion or affirming their gender. That will get them on the path to eventually become a patient in my industry. At which point I will then make big bucks from their surgeries and lifelong pharmaceutical regimens that they'll be stuck on thanks to the path that you helped lead them to. Once these kids transition, they become lifelong pharmaceutical customers that need all sorts of continual hormone and medical support. And that means big, big money, increasing stock value for pharma shareholders like myself. So far, 2% of the youth identify as trans, which is barely double than a couple years ago, according to the Trevor Project. It's more important to affirm gender identities and entertain these kids' delusions than look out for their safety and sanity by addressing the actual underlying mental health conditions that contribute to these kids' delusions in the first place. Listen, there is no such thing as too many trans kids, and I'm counting on you to educate as many of these kids as you can into becoming trans. Luckily, many healthcare providers will cover up pretty much all the surgeries and chemical sterilization drugs that are needed to trans these kids. And luckily for investors like me, the same insurance providers will not cover detransitioning, which means more money for us big pharma investors in the long run, as these kids will be stuck with their mutilated bodies and locked into a lifelong pharmaceutical regimen. It ranges 40,000 to 100. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Next public comment request is Elizabeth Brearley. Next public comment request is Elizabeth Brearley. Okay, and then if the next after that is Imelda Murillo, if she would get ready. Go ahead.
Mark Cooper. I campaigned for Mark Cooper. This is Elizabeth Brierly. I'm an officer in the Libertarian Party of Santa Clara County and a past president of Silicon Valley Taxpayers Association. I campaigned for Mark Cooper last year, and one of the things that was remarkable to me was his pledge in his campaign materials that parents have the right to opt out their children from curriculum that does not focus on reading, math, language, and science. What we used to call the 3 R's. And I would like to add, not things that parents might consider opting out of. We shouldn't even be considering putting things into the curriculum that parents might opt out of. But I'd like to put 2 other things into the back to basics framework. 1, critical thinking, and 2, opportunity cost. Every minute that our child is in the school, learning something that that is better left to the parents in the home, values-oriented lessons, is a minute that they're not learning their 3 R's in the school. Given the academic decline in this district, I think that's a really important thing for you folks to look at. The other aspect is, sorry, the agenda got changed, so I wasn't totally prepared. Critical thinking from philosophy. There's a fallacy called guilt by association. I believe that this body has fallen prey to that fallacy in censuring Mark Cooper. His very pledge in his campaign was about letting parents opt their children out. And he is sticking to that. And there's an organization that he was going to go meet with. If you would like to be a guest speaker, wouldn't you like to do it at organizations that happen to be exactly aligned with what you campaigned on?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Imelda Murillo. And if Danny L could get in line for the next speaker, and we will ask you to provide your full last name when you speak. So thank you.
Hi, good evening. First of all, I want to say that I'm disgusted that our school board meeting has become a joke to some people. And I just never thought that would ever happen at our school district. But back to what I need to say. My name is Imelda Murillo, and I'm a teacher at Santee. I have been a teacher in our community for almost 30 years. Even though I don't live in the district anymore, I did for over 10 years. I consider myself part of the community. I do home visits every year and have done so my whole entire teaching career. I know the families I serve. And because of that, I will continue to advocate for my community. And this is why I would like to thank the 4 board members who voted in favor of Resolution 2023-36 to censure Mark Cooper. I also want to say thank you for all the questions you asked before your vote. They were thoughtful and they gave you information so that you could make an educated decision. You took the time and energy to actually learn. I believe this is the key in order to serve our community, truly taking the time to get to know what is best for our community and our children. I encourage you to actually talk to families and educators and everybody who serves our community and learn what our community and our district is truly about, instead of trying to push an agenda that does not align at all with the values of our community. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, hello. So Danny, would you please provide your last name for the record?
Yes, my name is Danny Luna, L-U-N-A.
And the next speaker, hold on, the next speaker to follow up is Doc Lilly. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to thank the board members for your time. And I thank God that I'm here to speak, but I also pray that what I speak of and what other people speak of doesn't fall on deaf ears. There's obviously a division between the board members and the community, people with children. I'm a father of 2, they're 36 and 38 years old. The comment I want to make is the censorship of the parents finding out what's going on in the boardroom. My life is, I have an open communication with my kids. As a veteran of the United States Air Force, we always had open communication, so we knew what was going to be, our duty was going to be. My kids, they're 36 and 38 years old, and I talk with them 3 to 5 times a week. They called me or I called them. One lives up in Lodi. The other one lives in New York. She's a doctor of physical therapy. And we talk, and they got to the point in their lives of productive citizens. It's because of the communication that they had growing up in a private school. We put them in private schools is because we didn't have to deal with political issues that is open in the public school board. There is no doubt about it. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just telling you it's a fact. But the communication is the most important thing between a parent and a child. And the parent needs to know everything that's going on in the kid's life. You do not take care of the kids. The parents do. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Doc Lilly, is Doc Lilly here? Okay, and then after that is Mike F., if you would get in line. Do I see Doc Lilly? I guess not. So if Mike F. would. Yes, so if Mike F. would come up, and if you could give us your last name, that would be great. Thank you. And then Therese, no last name, if she could come up, be ready to speak after Mike F.
My name is Mike Fagundes. Fagundes, Fagundes, Portuguese. I'm a youth pastor. I've been a youth pastor for 14 years in the Santa Clara County. For 5 of those years, I actually served at Franklin-McKinley for an after-school program called Kids Club. We gave it voluntarily, we gave it free for parents to be able to come, learn about God, and they knew about the objectives within it. And they were hungry for it. The kids were hungry to know more about God. To go ahead and censure anybody for anything because of things that are objective to God's word or for any reason is wrong. And I believe that to go ahead, that we should be one. All are one. We're all one in God's eyes. And in doing so, we have a foundation to build on of love. Love one another as you love yourself. And informing parents is crucial to that. Being a youth pastor, my kids didn't always talk to their parents, but they would talk to me sometimes. I had one student, one youth, who was a student and while in high school was being raped by her boyfriend and having nightly rape showers. And she would be in fear of going back to school because of sometimes the agendas and the sexuality that is overexpressed. We need people and our parents especially to know what the schools are teaching. So we stand behind Mark for telling the parents what they need to know. I want to thank you for hearing me out. And giving us this opportunity to stand here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Therese. If you could give your last name, please, so we could have it for the record. And then next up is after that is Robert Howell.
My name is Therese Mansfield. I'm here in support of Mark Cooper. I'm a parent, I'm a grandparent. I supported his campaign because Mark was interested in the parents' rights. He's interested in helping parents to understand what is going on in the schools. And I ask you, are you school members, school board members? I want to ask you, are you parents? Are you concerned about your children's education? Why are you on the board? Is it to put forth your own agenda? Is it are you on the board because you want to put a rift between parents and the schools and parents and their children? That's what you're doing. By censoring Mark, you are dividing parents from their children. That is wrong. And I hope you can sleep well knowing that you are hurting families. Mark is doing, he was duly elected by parents who want to know what's going on in the school. They want to opt out. So on things that are against their values, things that they think are harming their children, showing pornography to a 6-year-old is not appropriate. And it's sexualizing children early is not right. Parents want to know, and the informed parents of Silicon Valley, all they wanted to do was to tell parents, if you don't like what's happening, you can be opted out. And that's all we're asking. The parents have a right to know. And Mark is just trying to support the parents. I think it's very rude of you to try and censor this man. He's one person standing up for what's right. You need to help these parents and not do this to Mark.
Okay, so Robert, before you come up, I want to respectfully ask everybody that if somebody says something that you're opposed to, against, please try to avoid responding. I know that we're all passionate, but we must respect every public comment provided because all public comments are equal. And then if something needs to be discussed after the public comment, maybe you go outside with that person, but I respectfully ask you to be. The reason why I'm so proud to live in San Jose is friendly as San Jose people are in the city of San Jose. So if you wouldn't mind. And Robert Howell is next, and on cue for him, after him is Josue G. And we will need your last name after.
Okay, my name's Robert Howell. Good enough, right?
Mhm.
Well, I've known Mark for a while. And the bottom line is I can't think of a more decent guy. And at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a public school system. And a public school system should have public information available to the parents. There's nothing in this school district or any school district that should be kept from the parents at all, period. If your child needs an aspirin, you have to call home. If your child needs a sex surgery, somehow that's okay. To me, it's insane. Now, the bottom line is, if the parents think it's okay, then I think I'm okay, but not some third party elected official who thinks they know better than a parent. No one knows better from a parent's point of view than a parent for their own children, right? Now, at the end of the day, indoctrination is what they do in all kinds of communist countries around this world. And I'm sorry, let's not let that happen here. We should teach about math and sorry, I'm getting upset. At the end of the day, the 3 R's. I went to school in California, bear with me. So at the end of the day, I think that's very, very obscene what you did to Mark. And I just hope that you never have to have the same privilege thrown on one of you. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Josue G. If we get your last name, and then on cue is
Sure.
Chris N. If you could provide.
My
us
name
your
is
last
Josue Gonzalez. I have 2 children in Franklin-McKinley School District. I'm here on behalf of Mark as well. And I like to set the record straight because I don't believe that the record is straight. I believe that what this board did was use an organization that's helping parents get informed and know their rights by the California statute to protect themselves and choose. Mr. Mark was a part of not a part of an organization, an event from this organization that he was coming to speak about the education level and the dropping grades of the school district. Yet this board felt the need to grab an IPSV organization and malign it, defame it on its own record. Now, I heard a lady say, well, you know what? I want to be grateful for the 4 people who voted for my community. He's here for our community because nobody else is. I heard a lady say, oh, It's about protecting us and protecting our rights. But nobody's here doing that for us. And Mr. Mark wasn't there to speak on LGBT community or anything other than the education. The fact that this board decided to malign IPSB, the only people that are telling parents that they have a choice while you're not doing it. None of you are doing it. I don't see papers going home saying, hey, by the way, we're starting this. And here's an opt-out form, which I know that we spoke about. And yet I don't see it. So while nobody else is protecting us and giving us the knowledge of choice knowledge, which is what this board is about, to give knowledge to kids. But you know what? When it comes to parents, there's none. None at all. And that's a shame because you missed the people who are actually feeding your job, which is us, the parents.
Okay, Chris N., if you could provide us your last name, and on cue is Robert Cepeda.
Novak, N-O-V-A-K.
What was the last name again?
N-O-V-A-K. Got it?
What was the last letter?
K as in kilo.
Oh.
I tried.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All set? Okay, Honorable School Board, let's not get distracted by the misinformation and smears and outright lies being peddled tonight by some of our fellow citizens and some of the respected school board members. What's really happening here is that this board is stifling freedom of speech and freedom of association. The opt-out program that informed parents that Trustee Cooper and the good people in this room are defending is protected speech. California Education Code sections 51,937 through 51,939, section 51,240, section 51,513, section 60,614, and 20, Title 20, United States Code 1232H clearly state that parents have clearly protected rights. Let that sink in. What Cooper, what the citizens in this room are doing is quite simply exercising their right to explore, to advocate, to debate, and to implement policies enshrined by California state law. For this board to distort that legally protected right, to turn it into an act of censure and a demand for the resignation of a duly elected public official is an example of monumental political illiteracy, transparent misdirection, and most importantly, is clearly illegal and unconstitutional. There's a chilling wind blowing through this room, and it's the board trying to suppress and punish the act of legally speaking around a legally protected topic. It's this board trying to make an end run around the First Amendment. This is how tyranny begins. Let me repeat that. This is how tyranny begins. We call for this board to spend a little time reading the California Ed Code. Thank you.
Next up is Robert Cepeda, and after him is Elizabeth S. Elizabeth S. is next. And we will need your last name, please, when you come to speak, Elizabeth. Go ahead, Robert.
Good evening. My name is Robert Cepeda. I'm here out of, I wouldn't consider it coincidence. I'll be honest, I'm here in support of Mark Cooper, and I don't know who he is personally or anyone here, as a matter of fact, but I do know that censorship is wrong. You cannot silence a person's voice. What I find very intriguing is that, you know, all these gentlemen here, I'm sorry, gentlemen and women, or if you prefer something else, and that's not offensive, you know, well-educated individuals, and yet I have never seen so much incompetence. Now, there is an issue, a division in our country and in this board, and it needs to stop. There needs to be unity. There needs to be a consolidation of minds and thoughts, and everyone here, I believe, is intellectual. And whether you, I myself, I'm a community college dropout, and I'm not afraid to say that because I know what is right and what is wrong. Look how there's a move to control information, and all these people are afraid of that because what it does is it always goes against the minds of innocent children. And people are afraid of that. And that's why they are here today to speak upon that and to tell you, no, it is wrong and you need to do better. And, you know, I'm short for words because, you know, I don't have anything written on here, but it's important that you all listen to Mr. Mark Cooper and his perspective as he would listen to yours. Thank you.
Next up is Elizabeth S. We will need your last name, please. And on cue is Carl K. And we will need your last name, Carl, when you come speak.
Elizabeth Stewart. Not only did a few gentlemen ago talk about the legal implications of what has happened to Officer Mark Cooper, but I want to highlight the historical. Let's not forget historically what's happened. The oppression of a people's voice, whether it's Native American, African ancestry, Latinx, the suppression of a people's voice has always led to fear, and fear has always led to destruction. And what Mark Cooper has done is exercise his liberty to share. And when a person is oppressed for any reason, for under any circumstance, when their voice is oppressed, you have violated not only them, but you begin to violate the people. Because if it could happen to him, it can happen to me. And I do not want history to repeat itself. We've come too far. We still have a long ways to go, but we've come too far. Second and third, the parental voice is a God-given gift. The right for a parent to legislate and to raise their kids according to their values and principles is given by God, and man cannot take that away.
Next up is Carl K. And Carl, we will need your last name. And on cue is Lisa Disbro.
Yes, good evening, Franklin-McKinley board members. My name is Carl Kalawokalani. And
could you spell your last name, please, Carl?
Kilo Alpha Lima Alpha Uniform Oscar.
You could just say letters if that would be
KALAUOKALANI.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
I'm the chapter chair of Moms for Liberty, Santa Clara County chapter. As you are likely aware, Moms for Liberty is a nationwide organization that is engaged in the fight to protect parental rights. Our members understand that it is parents who are responsible for raising, educating, nurturing, and protecting their children. We see a good many school boards in California now actively working against parents. Franklin-McKinley being one of them. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me in the coming months as our group works to get pornographic books out of school libraries and keep Santa Clara County school boards accountable for seeing to it that reading, writing, and math proficiency numbers start moving in the right direction. If school boards and curriculums they set are not working to properly educate children, they need to be replaced. Yes, we understand that the lunacy runs deep. We have a California Attorney General that sues the Chino Valley Unified School District for their support of parental rights, claiming that such a policy poses a danger to children and implying that parents somehow cannot be trusted. That is complete nonsense. And we now have a ruling from a federal judge that confirms that parents have the right to be informed about their child's social transitioning, and school districts have a responsibility to respect and protect that right. All of that is backdrop to the reason I'm here speaking to you this evening.
Thank you, sir.
And that is tonight in
Thank you.
support of
Thank you. Your time's
Mark
up.
Cooper.
Next
you.
up is Lisa Disbro. And after Lisa is George K.
Is there a timer?
There is, and
And how do you see it?
it's 2 minutes.
Where do you see it? Where do I see it? Serious.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Lisa Disbro. I'm a California credentialed teacher of over 34 years. And I would just like to remind you what your primary responsibility is to your over 6,600 students. Reading, writing, math. Reading, writing, math. Reading, writing, math. And here is your report card. 58% of your elementary students tested below proficiency in reading. 63% of your elementary students tested below proficiency in, guess, math. That's on you. 56% of your middle school students tested below proficient in reading. They're headed to graduation. 56%. Oh my gosh, you have a house on fire. Why are you worrying about peripheral issues when your core responsibilities are not being met? These kids are going out into life. You may have college degrees. How did they get theirs? Maybe you were able to establish a professional career. How did they do it? Listen to this, 63% of your middle schoolers are below proficient in math. What in the heck is going on here? Get it together. Focus on your main job. Leave the social political stuff away from your kids. That's their job.
Thank you.
I'm a teacher, I'm a parent
Thank you very
and a
much.
grandmother.
Thank you.
And I oppose the way you're handling your responsibilities.
Thank you. Next up is George K. And on cue is Margaret Wysocki. The next speaker is Margaret Wysocki. And George, if we can get your last name, please, sir.
My name is George Kistler, Kistler. First of all, I want to thank the ladies and gentlemen on the board for your sacrifice of your time and energy. I know what it takes to invest your life and your time for the benefit of students. And I believe that your heart ultimately is right in doing that. I understand what it takes to make that kind of sacrifice. I've been a pastor in this, pastor, minister, volunteer in the Valley for 44 years. About at least 28 of those years have been to children and families. And I've also taught in the Christian education system. So I have a little bit of background in education as well. So I understand the sacrifice, and I understand that the decisions that you make often are not appreciated. But I will tell you that I learned early on in my career in the ministry, especially with children and families, where my authority came from. And I guess that's a question that I would pose to you and have you consider tonight is, where does your authority come from? Does it come from the State Board of Education? Does it come from the voters who voted you into office? I would propose to you that neither of those are true. Your authority comes from God. And I understood early on that my authority to minister to children came only through the delegated authority of the parents. God gave parents the right to educate their children. They are the educators of the children. They are the experts of their children. And then the parents delegate authority for me to come alongside them as a children's pastor. And the parents have given you delegated authority to come alongside of them for the education of your children. But you do not rule the parents. You do not rule the children. You come under that delegated authority.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up is Margaret Wysocki, and on cue is Edgar Quiroz.
Good evening, school board. My name is Margaret Wysocki, and I am the president of the United Teachers of Santa Clara. I'm here to lend my support to the educators, families, and students of the Franklin-McKinley School District. I'm here because these outside organizations are distracting us from the work of providing free and appropriate education for all our students, whether they are Franklin-McKinley students or Santa Clara students. Make no mistake, these groups are attacking public education. For example, in my district, one of these outside organizers forgot their very basic conflict resolution skills and bit a parent during their leafletting. Let me repeat that. They bit a parent. That group is here in the room tonight, supporting other outside organizations. Do not be fooled by their rhetoric. Stand up for your families. Stand up for your students. Stand up for public education, where we educate the whole child.
Next up is Edgar Quiroz, and on cue is Bob P. And Bob, we will need your last name when you speak.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Edgar Quiroz Medrano. I am a teacher here at Captain Jason M. Dahl in our lovely FMSD school district. First of all, the word censure means to express severe disapproval, especially in a formal statement. What about that indicates that someone's voice has been silenced? When we see students in the classroom that are running or that are doing things that they shouldn't, there's a consequence associated with it. Parents, since they're here, when your child does something that they're not supposed to do, you discipline. A censure is a disciplinary act, not an act of silencing. Having said that, I will just simply say this. Our students are more than numbers. Our students come to us fully realized human individuals. I have taught kindergarten with children who have had attitudes beyond belief, but I learned how to work with them. I support them, and I've gotten them to read. I have been a teacher for about 11 years in elementary school, and I've had about 350 students come in through every single one of my doors, leaving a reader. I am a skilled teacher in what I do, and I'm here to support my children and let everybody know that the tests that we give our students are not an aptitude of who they are. I tested so below proficient when I was in elementary, middle school. I didn't even test out of being an English language learner. But I went to I had AP classes. I got good grades. I went to De Anza College. I graduated from UC Berkeley. I have a master's degree from Johns Hopkins University. And hopefully soon, I will also have a PhD, which is more than some people can say that are on the board, because I represent excellence for my community and the people that I serve. Mark Cooper represents mediocrity. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that speak about children, I really do hope that your children do not grow up to be queer. And if they do, I hope they never talk to you again.
Next speaker is Bob P. Bob P. Is he here? And then after that is Giovanni Riccitelli. And Bob, we will need your last name, please, sir.
It's Pegram, P-E-G-R-A-M.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm here to address, I'm a representative of Informed, I'm a representative of Informed Parents of Silicon Valley. I wanted to address several myths that some people spread and briefly, and then what the truth is. First of all, the first one is that we're anti-LGBTQ. The truth is that we're inclusive and welcome anyone and everyone who's interested in asserting parental rights over their children's education. Informed parents and supporters from all and any sexual orientation. Informed Parents is inclusive support for parents who want to be able to opt out their children from highly sexualized or age inappropriate material from all gendered and identity perspectives. Yeah. In fact, it's straight pornography in school libraries that often generates the most parent opt-outs and forms the most content of disagreement with school administrators. A lot of people are unaware of that. There are also LGBTQ plus books that raise parents' eyebrows. It's the highly sexualized nature and age inappropriateness of any type that members of our community find fault with. Secondly, the second myth is that we want to ban books and censor libraries. The truth is that we're not trying to control what books go into public libraries. We acknowledge that libraries serve as a wide range of ages and community interests. Rather, we're trying to allow a measure of access management to certain titles that some parents may feel are not right for their usually younger kids to see. We're trying to give parents a choice of what their children have easy and unmoderated access to in their school libraries. We hear from many parents that some of the books in the school libraries appear to be age inappropriate for younger children.
Thank you, sir.
That
Thank
was
you.
2 minutes already?
Yeah, you're 2 minutes.
Wow.
Next speaker is Giovanni Riccitelli.
I didn't hear that last part.
Giovanni Riccitelli, and then a speaker after that is Daniel V. Is Giovanni present? Is Daniel V present? He's next, and after that is Scott Schumanson. Oh, Daniel, you may come forward. Are you Daniel or? Oh, Giovanni, okay. And then Daniel V is after that, and then after that is Scott Schumanson. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Giovanni.
My full name is Giovanni Riccitelli. I heard some repulsion to the idea that there might be pornography in textbooks that are being shared with students. And it seems like there are people saying that smirk and say, oh, there's not. So I hope that they agree that if there was, that none of us are in agreement that that should be in there, right? We should, yeah. So we're all in agreement that we're not pushing anything explicit pornography for kids. And there should be no one opposed to that, even if they're not, unless hopefully the pictures or whatever the books are. Also, I don't really, I wish that we're not censoring, like the last speaker said, we're not against reading and writing and arithmetic or science or whatever you want to teach. We're all for more of that. I come from a family of teachers too. I'm all for teaching, but obviously sexual topics are not good for a kid, and kids are so impressionable and there are so many materials. I would agree that once you say that kids are impressionable, and you can cautiously approach the subject, and because you can badly influence a kid. My son got turned on to break dance by watching one movie. My daughter went into flash dance costumes because she saw the movie, and that was her whole life for about 2 years till then she decided to be a lowrider. Then she dressed up as then she went goth. I mean, they're so easily influenced. Then my son saw a documentary on punk rock, and he was a punk rocker. It's just like that. They're too easily influenced. I think the sexuality is just dangerous at that age. And I think, I grew up in a sexualized culture, but I think the limited amount that my school here taught me was good enough. We were taught the basics, how it worked without any explicit drawings. I think we had 2 drawings, and that was enough for us boys, and the girls had their own little class. I think there was enough there, but kids are too impressionable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Daniel V. Is Daniel V present? Okay, we will go ahead and skip that speaker. Next up is Scott Schumanson, and after that is Larry Pegram.
Hello, trustees, district employees, and community members, and those of you who have decided to come from outside our community to speak tonight. I know there are a few groups that have come together tonight to support Trustee Mark Cooper. One of them is the Value Advocacy Council. In the email so I'm speaking to you. In the email that they sent out tonight to rally supporters, the second paragraph states that homosexuals at all the best estimates consist of 2% of the population. This is clearly a false statement. A simple internet search makes it clear that the best estimates from a Gallup poll put it at 7%. The idea that you are being told the number is 2% is important because you're being lied to. I trust that many of you who have come here tonight to support Trustee Cooper do so out of genuine concern, and I don't doubt your sincerity or passion for your cause, but you're being lied to and you are being manipulated. Further in the Values Advocacy Council email, it states Trustee Rudy Rodriguez wants 6-year-olds to see porn without their parents knowing. The idea that Trustee Rodriguez wants 6-year-olds to see porn without parents knowing is a lie. Please bring me the porn you're speaking of. I would like to see it. Most importantly, regarding Trustee Cooper's censure, the most important lie is regarding Trustee Cooper's censure. It's near the end of the email, and it states, why is the board so angry that parents are finding out they can opt out? No one that I know is angry that parents are finding out they can opt out. The reason Trustee Cooper was censured, and please don't confuse that with censored, it's a totally different thing. The reason was because the Franklin-McKinley School District was being included under his picture for a community flyer, for a community event flyer for the event that was canceled. And there are specific district board policies about where and how a trustee can represent districts outside events.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, next up is Larry Pegram, and after that is Beth Biagwa. And correct me if I pronounced it wrong.
By the way, the community meeting that you all got so upset about, it's been rescheduled. The Franklin-McKinley Parents Group will host the meeting at Seven Trees Community Center. It's open to the community. Doors will be open at 5:30. The meeting will begin at 6. A buffet dinner will be available after the formal portion of the meeting. We will be discussing student test scores and the standardized state performance test. Now, here's a preview. Franklin-McKinley School District's performance. English language arts, 37.4%. Met or exceeded the standard. Math, 29.1%. Met or exceeded the standard. Now that's less than 3 in 10. You shouldn't be calling for Trustee Cooper to resign. School board, your performance is shameful. You ought to resign. We're going to share with parents some of the books that contain age inappropriate content and that are available in the Franklin-McKinley school libraries, available to children as young as 8 or 9. And no, we don't and won't just focus on age inappropriate gay sex. We focus at least equally on books that contain age inappropriate heterosexual sex. In fact, some of the most vociferous complaints that we've received have come from the viewing of heterosexual content. Now, before you go apoplectic, we're not banning books, which is a misnomer that the left loves to throw around. By the way, you make decisions all the time about what books you're going to put in the libraries.
Thank you.
You have to.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Beth And after that is Ali Saperman.
The last name is Valacqua. It's Italian, not Spanish.
Okay.
Everybody makes that mistake.
Well, I don't speak Spanish.
I know, I didn't want you to feel bad.
Thank you.
I have been a teacher in this school district for 25 years. This is the first time I have felt so emotional about an issue that I have stood up here to speak, and I will probably cry. I apologize. In my classroom, I teach only the Common Core standards. I'm not sure what parents believe their children are learning. I give my parents a copy of the Common Core standards at the beginning of the school year. Every week, I let the families know this is what we are going to be learning this week, because as a parent, I would want to know. Yes, it includes diversity. That is one of the standards. Yes, it includes things that the students might not agree with. I invite them to speak out. You disagree with this? What is your reasoning? What is your evidence? How do you disagree with this? I have stayed in this school district because this diverse community, especially the board, has supported and accepted all of my students. From the Pride Week activities in our wellness center, I had students welling up with pride, holding their pride flag because they said, my mom wouldn't let me have one. And I said, you are safe here. You are understood here. You are accepted here. You are supported here, and you are loved here. And I think that is more important than test scores, because if students do not feel safe and loved, they will not learn. Thank you.
Okay, because you interrupted, we're going to give her additional time because you guys interrupted her. So please finish.
I have to think. So again, I do appreciate the board. My students came back to me and said, we saw the pride flag when we went to do our COVID tests. That lets them know that you also see them, support them, and understand them. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next up is Ali, and then after that is Justin Lardenoy.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ali Saperman. I've attended hundreds of public hearings. I've already attended 2 this evening. I'm attending another one after this. And I've never felt so physically unsafe at a public hearing. I am queer and I'm non-binary. I moved from Florida in 2016 when I was 18 because I felt unsafe over the climate in Florida, over LGBTQ+ rights. I moved here and I put myself through school, working 3 jobs, facing housing insecurity. Since I've moved here, I've moved 12 times. But I thought California was a safe place. It is very clear it is not a safe place. I want to debunk one thing that I heard earlier, that talking about queer people is sexual in nature, but it is no different than talking about heterosexual people. If you think talking about queer people is sexual in nature, then talking about anyone is sexual in nature, and that's just absurd. I want to clarify something really important tonight. Students die every day over this fear-mongering and this discrimination, and you are held to a higher standard as elected officials, and you need to put a stop to it. Thank you.
Next up is Justin, and then after that is Susan Solinas.
Good evening. My name is Justin Lardenoy. I'm the chair of the San Jose Planning Commission, speaking here as an individual. I'm also proud to be the first openly LGBTQ+ person to serve on the commission. The folks here, the loud, bigoted minority, are here to intimidate you. And it's because school boards have become ground zero for hate in this country. They're testing the waters to see what they can get away with. They've already managed to infect the public discourse in other parts of California, and now they're here to test you to see if they can get away with this in Santa Clara County. If you cower, if you let them intimidate you, they're going to be emboldened. And if you stay strong, you're sending a message that we don't tolerate hate here. And you're going to weaken their movement. You're going to make it harder for them to bully other school boards in our community. So I just want to thank most of you on this board for doing the right thing and encourage you to continue to say no to hate in this community. Thank you very much.
Okay, next up is Susan Solinas, and then after that is Lisa, I think it's Victa.
I've been an educator and administrator in public education for 38 years. I've been a teacher, special ed, regular ed, district office administrator, principal, 16 years, vice principal 5, district administrator 6. I started with a severely emotionally disturbed kids before special ed was invented. This man here knows how to teach kids, the most challenged kids, East Oakland. Okay, totally. They're life challenged, learning challenged, and they all met graduation standards. Okay, this man has some know-how. I know him from community involvement, my husband and I. He is an upstanding, high character individual that cares about kids. And let's stop all this politicization and sexualization of our kids and teach them. This is a pluralistic society. We have Muslims, we have Buddhists, we have Sikhs, we have Christians, we have New Agers, we have all across the map. That's the United States of America. Let the parents teach the values, the religion. Okay, that's their job. You educate. In this district is failing kids right and left. I'm not saying the teachers aren't working hard. Teachers, it's tough. I taught special ed for years. It's tough. Okay, you need to help and support from the community, and we need to do more. We need to do whatever it takes to bring them to proficiency and above, because they live in it. This is a global competitive world. And if they get out of here and they're not proficient, they're not going to get the good jobs. They're not going to compete. They're not going to be able to pay their rent. And that's your job, education. You come alongside your teachers. Let's have a literacy month in this district. Literacy, proficiency and above for every student in Franklin-McKinley School District. Let's get together and stop this politics.
Thank you. Next up is.
That's what we're about.
Next up is Lisa Victa. Lisa Victa, and after that is Elvia Sanchez. Is this Lisa walking up right now? Okay, and then after that is Elvia Sanchez.
Hi, board. You may or may not recognize me. I've been coming to so many meetings over the 10 years that I've been a parent here. I don't know any of these people. I haven't seen them at any of the LCAP meetings, any of the SSC meetings, any of the ELAC meetings, any of the DLAC meetings that you have been inviting us parents to for 20 years since the passage of No Child Left Behind in 2001. But let me just say why else I don't trust this group, the IPSV. Their solutions for fixing the same test scores that we as parents have worked with you, the board, to improve, they don't make any sense. Look at their website. They say to ban things that don't exist in our schools. They encourage us to rise up against you, our district, who has been guiding us. They use the First Amendment to protect a person already in power, Mr. Mark Cooper, while encouraging book bans to silence voices written by people who are vulnerable and oppressed. They appropriated a quote by a civil rights leader who was killed fighting for the rights of all people, but in practice, IPSV and its leaders aim to restrict the rights and the stories of a very specific group, the LGBTQ plus community and silence experience of minorities. And that's not a lie, because I saw your book ban list. As a fellow Christian, I am offended that they cite the Bible to exclude, judge, shame, and they lie, but conveniently leave out Jesus's greatest lesson to love one another as he has loved us. They claim they want to keep kids safe, but they challenge schools that teach a curriculum like Positive Prevention Plus, which protects our kids from abuse. Further, they record kids even when their parents, like those kids back there, when their parents told them to stop, they would not stop recording them. Their stated goal is to educate parents, but they lie and mislead. I do not see any research on their website. I see research on your websites to back up all the best practices that you do. I only see myths and lies. Most of the things on their opt-out forms are not even done in our schools. Through empathy or having used our schools, they know our children struggle more and they have supported us. That is why I trust you, the board, and not them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next up is Elvia Sanchez, and then after that is Erica Martinez.
Hello, Melvia Sanchez. I am an 8th year parent here at Franklin-McKinley School District. I am also, this is my 3rd consecutive year as a board member of the School Site Council, member of the DLAC as well. This is actually the very first time that I've seen a lot of these people show up here. They never came to any of our meetings, which are open to the public. I have not seen Mr. Cooper. We just had at our school either. We are right across the, I am from Chicago School. We are right across the street, the parking lot, actually. We just had our open house. Was not there. The very first time that I became familiar with this organization or that they have came to our school was about a month ago when they were outside in our parking lot, blocking our entrance, harassing our parents, scaring our children as we were driving in, trying to shove those pamphlets into our faces. Luckily, my windows were up, so my children were not, we didn't receive one. Anyway, I'm here as a parent in support of the board's decision. Our children are more than test scores, right? And there is, people are not in our classrooms. Not only am I a member of this school site council, I'm also a parent volunteer. We have festivals. I've never seen anybody show up to help with the picture day. Hey, it's coming up. No one's been here to assist the teachers, the classroom, festivals, pumpkin patch. No one's been here, but they're showing up today. They showed up a month ago, right? To shove their agenda in our faces. They don't know what's in our classroom. And I have received plenty of information about opting out. I receive no minimum of 5 notifications a day from the school in the district to tell me what's going on in my children's school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up is Erica Martinez, and after that is the Reverend Jethro Moore.
Hi, my name is Erica Martinez, and I am a teacher at Hellier Elementary. I'm also a parent to 2 students from Franklin-McKinley School District. And I was just here last minute because I was shocked and appalled by what I heard about what's going on. And as a parent, I know that our school districts are required to publicly have a curriculum on our websites, on the state board. So I don't understand what these parents are talking about in regards to they have the right to know. You have the right to know. It's online, it's public information, and you can access this whenever you want. You do not need parents or teachers who already have so much on their plate to get everything to you on a weekly basis. Also, if you talk about censorship, I feel like the only thing that should be banned in our schools, a book, it's a Bible. That's it. Nothing else.
Okay, next up is Reverend Moore, and after that is Rosa Cortez.
Want to talk to me? You can meet me after the meeting. Talk about it. All right.
Reverend Moore, you're.
Question, but
yeah,
red, yellow, blue, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. That's what we're supposed to be teaching. They should know us by the love we show one for another.
Reverend Moore, let me remind you, you should be addressing the board.
Okay, that's what we're here to
Thank
talk
you, sir.
about, right? You know, so They want to talk. I said, I'm your Huckleberry, so you can always find me on the internet. True patriotism springs from a belief in the dignity of the individual, freedom and equality, not only for Americans, but for all people of the earth, for all of us that are here. We're here struggling with our kids having a low grade points, but instead of having that conversation about how we can increase school time, we're here talking about banning books or LGBTQ banners. The governor's already signed into law that you can't ban books, so why is that discussion even still being had? On Monday, this was just signed, but we're here bringing stuff from yesterday to today. I'm here to stand before you, as I said, Mark, unabashedly. Anybody that comes into this community, they have me to deal with and the compatriots that will come forward. We will find someone that will support all of our kids, not just Judeo-white Christian kids or their beliefs. And you should know that. I've been in Mississippi, I've been in Atlanta, and I've seen the same rhetoric from the same people. And on Sunday, when we're supposed to be experiencing and loving the God they say they worship, is the day the churches are most segregated. But they want to come into the school system and tell us how to teach our kids and how to raise our kids. But they're wondering why the church is getting smaller, because the kids are coming to school and they're seeing that it is possible to love almost anybody you choose. But yet their churches teach not to love. They're a harbor for hate. And as long as they have that, that's what will happen. So I want to thank you for the time, and thank you for letting me know I'm out of time. But I'm on. Well, I'm on time because my God stepped in time, on time to change any situation.
Next up is Rosa Cortez, and then after that is Lon Nguyen.
Hello, board. My name is Rosa Cortez. I am literally one of the handful of people here who has a child in this district. And I would like to point out the sheer irony of Mark Cooper's group, IPSV, touting themselves as advocates for parents' rights when my time would normally be 3 minutes long and it has to be cut down to 2 because people were bussed in from affluent neighborhoods to come tell us how to raise our kids. You guys do not represent us. Go home, community Karens. That being said, first and foremost, as an actual parent of students in Franklin-McKinley School District, I would like to thank every one of you who voted to censure Mark Cooper for his egregious abuse of his position while masquerading as a private citizen. Mark Cooper, as a parent that you serve, I demand you resign your role as trustee. You do not deserve to be sitting on our board. You're a charlatan wrapped in a cloak of disinformation and weaponized incompetence. You tout yourself as an expert in failing test scores. However, when asked if you consented to IPSV using your image in the flyer that got you censured, you can't recall. It needs to be noted that if they used your picture without your consent, you should be suing them, not threatening the board we support. Furthermore, while you may be an expert on failure, and trust me, I believe it, you are not an expert on solutions for failure. I say this because you and your affiliates at IPSV advocate the healthy sexual attitudes of 5-year-olds and support banning books as a solution to failing test scores.
Keep going. I'm going to give you a little more time because you were interrupted.
Thank you. I can wait.
Let me remind the audience, this is the prerogative of the chair, and I'm making that decision. If you're going to continue to disrupt the speaker, we're going to add more time, no matter who it is. Thank you.
Mark Cooper, you are the proverbial boogeyman, El Cucuy. Your scare tactics are neither welcome nor appreciated by the actual, I can wait.
And we will allow you to wait.
I agree, quite jestful. So, Mark Cooper, you are the proverbial boogeyman, El Cucuy. Your scare tactics are neither welcomed nor appreciated by the actual parents of Franklin-McKinley School Board. Franklin-McKinley School District, pardon me. And for this reason, I don't just ask for your resignation, I demand it. And I will be here every board meeting demanding it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Juan Nguyen, and after that is Catherine, no last name, so.
Hello, board member. My name is La Nguyen. I am a teacher at Franklin-McKinley District, and this is my 19th year teaching. I hear a lot of nonsense from people that do not have children that attend our school, spewing nonsense that we're teaching pornography and that we're teaching gender identity. As a teacher of 19 years, I teach with the curriculum that was approved by the board. I teach reading, I teach writing, I teach math. I teach reading, I teach writing, I teach math. And if I am lucky, I might squeeze science or social studies into it. So a lot of this is nonsense, that what they're talking about, what we're teaching to our kids. Second to that, I have a child that attends our school district as well. I am a parent of Evergreen School District, but I am proud of this Franklin-McKinley School District. And we want to talk about proficiency. My son had exceeded in his test with a 4.4 in his reading and math and writing. So we're doing a damn good job in this Franklin-McKinley School District. And I don't want people to say otherwise, because what they're saying is nonsense. The kids do not go to the school, but they have a lot of inputs about what they have to say. And it's nonsense. So you guys are doing a great job. The curriculum that we're using is a great curriculum that we're using, and we're doing our best to teach our kids to become proficient. And what we're doing right now is doing a small group as much as we can to help our students. So enough with the lies, enough with the nonsense from parents that do not even attend the school district from out of this district. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Catherine, and there's no last name on here. So if she would come up and please provide us your last name. And then after that is Maria Rigazio.
Okay, so being
May we please get your last name? Please?
McDowell. I ran a facility and there's a very high suicide when children are taught things. I think we need to just stick to education and not get political and not have other agendas and stealing the innocence of children, because it's very detrimental to them when they get older. And I think when I was going to school, it was reading, writing, and arithmetic and like computer skills and things that actually give them skills. And I see that there's a lot of agendas here. And why do the parents, anytime that someone is telling someone, don't tell your parents, I have a concern about that. And I think that the parents should be informed, just like if I go to the doctor, you have children, do you want someone to tell them, don't tell your parents something? I mean, think about that. We should not be hiding things from parents. What are we hiding? Why are we hiding them? That's my question to the board. Why are we having an agenda when we should be sticking to what's best for the child? And this isn't about hate. I don't hate anybody, but this is about what's best for the mental health and the well-being of children. And we have to protect our children. We're here because we care about our community. We care about all of you, and we care about all of you. We're not here to stir up hate. We're here to stir up a future for the next generation. As we see in our society, it's not going so good.
Next up is Maria Rigazio, and then after that is Rose Sullivan.
I am a concerned citizen who lives in a really bad gang neighborhood riddled with violence, and I'm here to tell you that I denounce your censure of Mark Cooper. You who have censured Mark Cooper are disgraceful. You school board members need to remember that you work for the children and the families, and you will answer to God. Children are precious and should be protected, and this is not a place for pushing your personal inappropriate or political agendas on children. Supporting and accepting diversity also includes diversity of thought. I had the unfortunate opportunity of seeing one of the pornographic books that is being pushed on children. It was vile and it made me sick to my stomach. It is not a lie that pornographic books are being pushed on children. You can see videos of the readings of those inappropriate books online, and parents are told to stop reading them because it's so perverse. If adults are uncomfortable hearing it, it should not be in the hands or views of children. I stand with parents and impressionable, innocent children, and I support Mark Cooper.
Next public comment is Rose Sullivan, and after that is Ha Tran.
My name is Rose Sullivan, and I'm here today to support Mark Cooper because I am a parent, a grandparent, and a resident of San Jose community. The decisions made by this board affect not only the children of this district, but the entire community of San Jose. So that's why I'm here. We will have to live with the results of your decisions. I would like to know why the school board wants to keep parents in the dark. Parents need to know they can opt out their children from inappropriate materials. By attempting to silence Mark Cooper, all because of a flyer, you are depriving him of his First Amendment freedom of speech rights. Do you really think that you can suppress Mark Cooper's freedom of speech rights? You will surely lose eventually. Mr. Cooper was advised and had graciously put you on notice during the last meeting. I'm here to remind you that each and every one of you were put on notice. You may think you have the power to silence him, but the Constitution supersedes any resolution you think will hold up in court. You may waste a lot of time and taxpayers' money, but in the end, the rights of each parent will be protected. Thank you.
Next speaker is Ha Tran. And then after that, we're done with the non-agenda public comments, but I'll go to the agenda items and ask each speaker if they'd like to talk now or later. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, I'm back again. My name is Ha Tran. I live in San Jose for more than 40 years. I'm a concerned parent with 2 kids. I was here at the last board meeting stating my opposition to the resolution of Mr. Mark Cooper. After the meeting, I looked up IPSV organization to understand what is so bad about them. There's nothing bad about them. Their mission is to stand for parents' rights, student achievement, and family value. They are not anti-LGBTQ+, as stated in the school board resolution. They don't oppose diversity and inclusion, as stated in the school board resolution. Your claims in the resolution are false. IPSV volunteers show up to the school to hand out bookmarks to parents to let them know their rights to opt out curriculum that is inappropriate. If they sound assertive, they are just passionate to help parents know their rights. They are passionate volunteers. It is a misunderstanding if they come across as aggressive. Thus, please do not use false claims and link it to Mr. Cooper so that you can force Mr. Cooper to resign. Mr. Rudy, no to the resolution, and please stop bullying Mr. Cooper. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now we will, there are some public comment requests for agenda items, and I'm going to ask each public comment requester if they'd like to speak now or later. If you did not complete one of these slips, there's no more. So, I'm sorry, ma'am. Robert Verich, would you like to speak now or when the agenda item comes up, 5.01? Now, come on up, please. We'll allow 3 minutes for for the regular agenda items. Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. And I don't think you can demand people give their last name. You can just ask, but.
No, they
that's
don't
what-
have to give their last name.
Okay.
No.
It just, you made it sound like they had to. So I just thought I'd point that out. It's great. I'm just asking. I'm here. Yeah. I want to thank all the speakers because you gave me time to rewrite my speech about 14 times. It started out really short. It's on agenda item 5.04. And Assistant Superintendent Black is going to give a presentation on using some state funds that are set aside. That's what the agenda item is. I thought I'd give it a little context. I came from a family of educators that are incredibly committed to their students. I'm glad to stand up for educators and the work they do. How sad is it that by my accounting, you spent at least 2 board meetings planning to censure and now to hear about support or lack of support for a board member, instead of focusing your time on student achievement. The energy of your community is now wrapped up in making sure their voice is heard on the topic of censure. This agenda items, a state required set aside to use 10%, totaling $216,000. As I read through your plan, I see that goal 1 addresses first and second graders that test reading as kindergartners. Your goal is to raise their scores by 5%, not a grade level, 5%. Goal 2, first and second graders will achieve 5% through 504s using accountability monitoring. Isn't that what a 504 is? Goal 3, first and second grade Hispanic students raise their scores by 5% in ELA through connectedness with their community. And goal number 4 is to reduce student referrals and suspensions by 5%. I know of a district in this area that reduced them by 95% just by focusing on what the matrix were and coming up with other items. So I think 5% is too low. Your teachers work incredibly hard to meet the needs of your students and will continue to. Focus on them, not Mark. By the way, I wrote that listening. It was called up that Mark's picture had his name and his office position as a representative of Franklin-McKinley School District. Well, a speaker tonight used his title of being a planning commissioner. Several pastors and teachers use their title just like Mark did. You didn't stop them. Mark didn't claim to represent the district. It was an identifier like the commissioner, like the pastors, like the teachers. You asked for a resignation to silence a board member working with the community to help understand the needs of your district.
Okay, next speaker is for agenda item number 9 is Lisa Dispro. And did you want to speak now or later? Did you already speak already? Okay, so do you want to speak now for agenda item 9.03 or do you want to speak later? Okay, on up.
Do I get 3?
3 minutes.
On my mark, get set, go. My name is Lisa Disbro, and I want to speak to the age of consent in California and its implications. The legal age of consent in any state is when the law deems a person is old enough to consent to sex. In California, the age of consent is 18. It is a criminal act to engage in sex with anyone under 18, and any person who does so could be charged with statutory rape under CA Penal Code 261.5. So why is the Franklin-McKinley School Board considering resolution number 2023-37 in support of the following sexual behaviors, attractions, and identities: gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer history? Those are all sexual. Are you hoping that the majority of your students who are under 18, 99.9% of your students are under 18, engage sexually before they're 18? Is that the plan? If you pass this resolution, here's my question. Are you endorsing illegal activity as a school district, and could you be sued? We know that Spreckles Union School District is paying a $100,000 settlement for their violations against a student and a parent. Are you getting in line for such lawsuits? Have you considered what behaviors, identities you are supporting under transgenderism? For example, are you in support of the path from social transition to puberty blockers to cross-sex hormones and removal of healthy sexual organs? If you endorse these options as a board, could a Chloe Cole, Abe Garcia, or Jazz Jennings sue you for their mutilation, sterilization, and lifelong drug dependency? And what does the plus T represent? Have you seen the over 50 groups such as bondage, dominance, submission, and sadomasochism that fall under the T, the plus? Do you want to endorse BDSM for minors? Do you want to have Franklin-McKinley endorse the expansive list of furries, wolves, cats, falcons, doggies, identities? What about the minor attracted people included in the plus group? Is this group to be endorsed as well by your school district? Are you ready for the legal implications? Finally, if you endorse this resolution, be clear, you will be announcing you are not a safe place for students, parents, teachers, or staff who believe innocence is to be protected and not sacrificed to social agendas and powerful interest groups. I urge you to reject this resolution because it violates the spirit of CA Penal Code 261.5. It opens McKinley up to over 50 groups covered by the T and could result in financially harmful lawsuits for students, parents, and staff, as we are now witnessing across California and America.
Thank you. Okay, so Aaron, you stood up earlier and I said we did find it under agenda item 9.03, but you had signed up for 2 areas. So if you'd like to give a general comment now, you may. And in fact, if you would also like to speak on 9.03 as well, that would be fine. And I'll give you 3 minutes on that for the entire time. Was that all right with you?
Sorry for the confusion. Hello, my name is Erin Friday. I'm the co-lead of Our Duty, a nonpartisan, non-religious group of parents who protect children from gender ideology. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I voted for same-sex marriage. I'm a licensed California attorney. I'm a mother of a daughter who used to believe that she was a boy. She believed that she was born in the wrong body. She was told to be ashamed of her female body. She was told that she was a mistake that could only be fixed by pumping her body with cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and having her healthy breasts removed. This was told to her by her public school. I pulled her from the public school and I told her that she is perfect, that there was nothing wrong with her and that I would love her forever. I told her that there was no right way to be a girl or wrong way to be a girl, but that she would always be a girl and she would be a perfect girl. I am proud to acknowledge that she is now grown up and she is happy in her female body and she has all of her body parts. Yesterday, I sent you a demand letter. I also sent you a request for public records. The demand letter demands that this school district abide by the 14th Amendment and our Constitution and stop keeping secrets from parents. The demand letter tells you to follow the recent legal opinion in the Escondido case. The demand letter asks if you're going to violate teachers' religious rights, whether you're going to violate parental rights, whether you are going to be a part of this movement that is saying that girls like mine are wrong and that they're not perfect. Last time I was here, I gave you a book called Transing Our Children. Raise your hand if you read it. Anybody read it? I didn't think so. Guess you can't respond. Today, I'm distributing another book. Don't worry, it doesn't contain any pornography. This is a book about parents. This is a book of parents like me who didn't affirm their children's gender identity. Parents like me who had their children's rights stolen by teachers who thought that they knew better. By doctors who said that my daughter would commit suicide if I didn't put experimental drugs into her body. So I'm going to hand these out to you tonight. I know I don't have enough, but they're in my car, but I hope you pay attention and read this.
You may just leave them right at the end here. We'll take it from there. Next speaker. Next speaker is for agenda item 9.03 is Harrison T. Would you like to speak now or when the agenda item comes up? Okay. Thank you.
My name is Harrison Tinsley. I'm a single dad in this county.
Excuse me, sir. Could you pronounce your last name again one more time?
My name is Harrison
No,
Tinsley.
your last name.
Tinsley.
Okay.
With the T. I'm a single dad in this county. I fell in love with a girl here in the Bay Area. We fell in love. We didn't agree politically because I didn't agree with gender ideology. She kept my son from me. I didn't find out my son was born until a week after. I filed in court 2 months later. It took 13 more months just for me to meet my son. I met him at 15 months old. That whole 15 months was a secret from me. I knew nothing about him. I never looked in his eyes or held him. After that, I pressed on. I visited with him. When he turned around 2 years old, I won half custody of him, and I'm so thankful for that. I won half custody, and that's about the time his mom started to treat him as non-binary. My son is not non-binary. My son knows he's a boy. He expressly says it constantly if you ask him. This gender ideology is tearing families apart already, and it has no place in schools. You have no right to keep secrets from us. I know the pain of having secrets kept from me, from my son. I love him more than anything, more than any of you ever will, or any teacher or any school district. This is the moment in history where we're saying no more. We're standing up to you. You're all sitting here wondering why we're here. It's because we care about our kids. You think I'm from nowhere? No, I grew up here, actually. I'm not from out of town. It's ridiculous. I love my son. No kids should be taught this sexualization, this political grooming. It's unacceptable. We're here to say no more. Thank you so much, Mark Cooper. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you, everyone who's here fighting for children. You're on the right side of history. I stand with you. Keep being brave and speaking up. They cannot silence us. Thank you.
Next speaker is Justin Time. Justin, would you like to speak for agenda item 9.03? Would you like to speak now or later? I need to remind the speakers that you're addressing the board, and also please speak to the agenda item, not to any other issue. Thank you.
Can I start my timer? So I'm not talking.
I think that so everybody also wants to hear you. They'd like you to move the microphone in front of you.
All right, I'm sorry. I think we live in a state of confusion, not California, because 10 to 12 years ago, I photographed lots of people on the board, and I photographed the mayor, Chuck Reed, and it was for the McKinley Reed School District, and it was about literacy. Literacy. It's not about sex. It's not about gender. It's not about any of that. You know, here we are. It's a state of confusion. We don't live in California anymore. It's confusion. All right. So it's okay. You know, these leaders, Chuck Reed, he got to hold up a book, whatever book he remembered from his childhood. So do you want these children to hold up Johnny is queer because he read it when he was 6? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with any of it. I think it's rubbish. I think it's absolute rubbish. So you can't pray in the schools. You can't read the Bible, but you can teach pornographic materials. None of it makes sense. It's disgraceful. It's grooming. Stop grooming our children. I've got 4 kids. I'm not from out of town. I'm from outer space, baby. You know, so here's the thing. I live 10 minutes away. I live 10 minutes from here, right? I do. 10 minutes. But, you know, so I feel like I'm not even from this place anymore. Human trafficking is everywhere. 55 children a day disappear from America's foster care system. 100,000 of those cases closed and that the children were never found. 85,000 unattended minors crossed the border and they've been lost track of. Oh my goodness, human trafficking is rampant. This is all grooming. You're guilty of grooming if you want to hide stuff from parents. Mark, I support you. Or do. They openly chanted, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." What do you mean? Not my children. King Jesus, he's my savior. He's not my religion. He's my savior. Jesus is my savior. None of you. But here's Revelations chapter 3, 16 through 17. So because you, anyone, are lukewarm, neither hot or cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. No, not about you, but I'm hot and I'm on fire for Jesus. And I'm not going to be lukewarm. And each of you should consider if you want to be spit out of his mouth. That's a personal decision. If you call yourself a believer, a follower of Jesus, or a Christian, you should really take that serious. It makes me think twice before I do anything. I follow Jesus, King Jesus. You know what? The other thing, real quick, witchcraft is pharmacia. Reject it. We should not have mandatory vaccinations in the city or state or the country. We need to end it. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Here's the sound of
Thank you.
freedom. Jesus.
Thank you.
Jesus.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I'm going to continue calling speakers for agenda item 9.03. I would like to remind the speakers that agenda item 9.03 is resolution number 2023-37 in support of LGBTQ plus History Month. It's not about what we teach in the classroom. It's not about what's happening with the books or the resolution regarding Mark Cooper. It's about the resolution, whether you're for or against it. So if you wouldn't mind speaking on the agenda item, that would be great. I won't interrupt you because we already started down this rabbit hole, but please do your best to speak about the agenda item because that's what you listed on your speaker request, your public comment request. The next public comment request is Rosa Cortez.
Point of order.
There is no point of order. This is public comments. You're out of order. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa.
It does say that. It does say that. Read the rest.
So I wanted to speak on the issue here. I wanted to talk in support of LGBTQ plus month and history. And the reason for this is my best friend growing up. I got to tell you, we were kids, 2 years old. We've got all the classic, 2 friends in the same bathtub because, either my mom or her mom was babysitting us. Really cool person. At the age of 15, she almost died. The reason she almost died was because we came from a very Catholic background. And I don't know if you've heard, it can be kind of hit or miss with that. Luckily, Catholics seem to be evolving past this because my daughters currently go to private Catholic school. My oldest currently goes to private Catholic school where they support LGBTQ, where they have a program to support children who are identifying as LGBTQ. They have admitted trans kids into this private Catholic school. And if private Catholic school can do that good, I think we can too. Love is love. Love is what we need to overcome all of this hate. Thank you.
Okay. Next public comment request is Carmen Corky for agenda item 9.03. Please move the microphone down. Thank you.
So, hi, I am Carmen Corky. I am here to give thanks that the LGBTQ community is represented at my school because it keeps my friends safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next public comment request for agenda items, for agenda item 9.03 is Raymond Torres.
Hi, I'm Raymond Torres. I represent the Sons of God this evening. Good evening, board and parents, community. I stand with Mark Cooper and for the children this evening. We know that the children are the future, and you have been given a position of stewardship over the children's education and with their lives. The school system should be focusing on teaching the children on the basics of math, writing, reading, history, and science. We absolutely should not be teaching children about gender confusion, teaching them on how to perform sexual acts, or them being shown pornography. There's enough garbage. Parents have to make sure their children ain't watching or doing throughout the day, and they shouldn't be worried about these issues while they're in school. When they become adults, they will be able to decide for themselves. Until then, the parents can teach them the things that they need to know at home. We cannot be leading them into a lifestyle that the God that America and the world is under calls an abomination. We are one nation under God. And this is what he says. When his students came to Jesus asking him, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, Jesus called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of them and said, verily I say unto you, except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever shall receive one such child in my name receives me. But whoever shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he was drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe unto the world because of the offenses, for it must be that offenses come, but woe unto the man by whom the offenses come. You are accountable for how you lead the children. We all are accountable on how we lead the children God has blessed us with. Amen.
Okay. Next speaker is public comment request is Betsy T. We will need your last name. And this is regarding, I want to remind again regarding agenda item 9.03.
Hi, folks. First, I want to tell everybody, I support everybody. I support the teachers who really want to teach the kids and even LGBTQ. But I hope that you will let the parents know what's going on. I came to San Francisco in the 70s when every gay person from all over the country was coming to San Francisco. And it was a really great time. The thing that concerns me about the going into like focusing so much about the history is not that someone is really gay, but maybe focusing on the surgeries. Because lots of the people that I know that were gay in the 70s ended up not being gay anymore. But hey, they could be whoever they wanted, but they didn't get their breasts taken away and their penis extracted. You know, once you do that, you really are almost like you don't really have a life anymore because you can't have kids. And kids making those decisions is very concerning. And there are just so many doctors and everything that are talking about that right now and not letting kids know all that. So I just want to tell all these people, I honor you, all these LGBTQ people. And I'm just really saying, please, if you're going to put that information in the History Week, please don't put the stuff about the sex change operations in it, because I really think it's dangerous. And a lot of kids are going to be suicidal later when they find out they can't have kids anymore. And Mark, I honor you. And there's a lot of people that's in this board that support LGBTQ. He was voted in. Why can't he have a voice too? That's what tolerance is. That's what and I just want to say one thing to all of you. You all wanted to know what's going on in your kids' life. Every moment you want to know what the teachers are teaching them. So I call upon you to keep the parents informed. People who want to opt out of the education, that doesn't mean that they don't love LGBTQ people. They just want to have control over their own kids' lives.
Excuse me, would you please speak to the board in the microphone, please?
Yeah.
That way everybody can hear.
So I'm just saying to you guys, you want to know what's going on in your kids' lives in schools. And I'm just asking you to make sure that you have policies so that teachers are informed and teachers are not telling kids, oh, what is your pronoun? We don't have to tell your parents. This is what you can tell your parents and hide it from your parents, because parents love the kids and parents are the foundation of kids' lives. They know them, they birth them, they know them, they're the kids' securities. And even if the kid thinks they're LGBTQ, the parents can work it out with them.
Thank
It
you.
shouldn't be hidden, you know?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Susan Hannon Susan Hannon. It's regarding agenda item 9.03. And I want to remind the speakers again, it's in support or not support of the resolution for LGBTQ plus History Month.
Thank you, board, for letting me speak. My name is Susan Hanson. I'm an 8th grade science teacher, so I've been teaching sex ed for a long time, okay? Webster's defines indoctrination as teaching a set of beliefs uncritically with no free thought. Teaching children about ideas that you disagree with is not indoctrination. Teaching children only the ideas that you agree with, that is the very definition of indoctrination. All teaching needs to be focused on appropriateness, be it for children or be it for adults or be it for language learners. It must be age appropriate and appropriate. We must equip our young learners with the knowledge and understanding so that they can navigate the complexities of their lives, especially considering health-related topics. To develop a healthy and respectful attitude towards themselves and others, children need a comprehensive, age-appropriate, rounded education that is reviewed and that is approved by parents and the board. By learning about age-appropriate topics such as consent, boundaries, and body autonomy, children can better understand and respect their own rights and the rights of others. This knowledge lays the foundation for the building of healthy relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Educating children about human sexuality promotes their overall well-being and safety by teaching them about reproductive health, contraception, and sexually transmitted infections. We empower them to make informed decisions about their own bodies and to protect themselves from potential risks. This knowledge is essential in promoting their physical and emotional health, as well as preventing unintended pregnancies and the spread of diseases. Discussing age-appropriate human sexuality topics in schools helps to dispel myths and misconceptions that many children encounter elsewhere. It provides them with accurate information, enabling them to make decisions based on facts rather than rumors and misinformation. Their education also fosters open, honest communication, encouraging children to seek guidance from trusted adults when they have questions or concerns. Teaching about human sexuality in a safe and supportive environment helps to reduce the stigma and promote inclusivity. By addressing topics such as gender identity, sexual orientation, and diversity, we can create an atmosphere of acceptance and respect for all individuals. This education plays a vital role in fostering empathy, understanding, and tolerance among students and preparing them to be compassionate and inclusive members of society. Let us work together to provide children with the knowledge that they need to thrive in an ever-changing world. Teaching children about ideas that you disagree with is not indoctrination. Teaching children only about the ideas that you agree with is the very definition of indoctrination.
Thank you. Next public comment regarding agenda item 9.03 is Amanda Corky. Would you like to speak now or when the agenda item comes up? Now? Okay, come on up, Amanda. And you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Amanda Corky. I'm speaking on behalf of, the 9.3 thing. And also as a former Franklin-McKinley, as a former student in the Franklin-McKinley School District. I currently do go to a private Catholic school. And as my mom said earlier, they also do have a ton of LGBTQ History Month and rights and education to let people know that they aren't the only ones who feel the way they feel, and let other students know that they shouldn't feel bad for being themselves. One of my best friends at that school is trans, and she is like one of the most awesome people I have ever met. I feel dizzy out.
Well, you may take a seat if you feel dizzy. Just go ahead and grab a chair. We'll go ahead and let you gather yourself and we'll call the next speaker. You can come back up. Okay, Amanda? Once you feel better. Next speaker on agenda item 9.03 is Ava. I can't read the last name. Chow. Yeah, and would you like to speak now or during the agenda item? Okay, so you go ahead and we'll call you back when the agenda item comes up. Next speaker, and this is regarding agenda item 9.04, which is resolution recognizing the second Monday of October as Indigenous Peoples Day. And the public comment request is Robert Barrage. And would you like to speak now or when the agenda item comes up? I assume you mean now. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, President Rodriguez. I do want to speak to the fact that you've run a great meeting and you've kept it fair, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, board members, for listening to everybody and their concerns. I chose 9.04 to talk about because it was encompassing. I'm not against Indigenous Peoples Day. or LGBTQ History Month. You take time out of your meetings to make a land statement that my wife, who is American Indian, and her family and representatives of her community find that land statement empty. If you're not going to do something about taking their land, you don't have to tell them every meeting that we're on their land. They feel like it's hurtful. Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to have LGBTQ History Month, Pride Month, if that was just sprinkled through our education? I would love to know what contributions were made by the communities. But Martin Luther King gets a day. Indigenous people are going to get a day. Presidents get a couple of days. Why don't we focus that in a week and sprinkle it throughout the year, and it doesn't have to be a whole month. So we can focus on reading and writing and incorporating how important these people are that have had an effect on California and the country and the world. Thank you.
Did you want to come back up and finish, or is she out of the room now? Did she leave the room? Okay, let's see here. Well, we're done with our public comment section. We're going to move on the agenda, and if she comes back, well, you'd like to come back? Come on up. Okay, we're going to have our administrative assistant get them.
Yeah.
Are you feel better, Amanda?
Yeah, I feel better. Sorry
Take your
about
time.
that.
Go ahead. Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, so as I mentioned, one of my best friends at my new school is trans. Best person I've ever met, seriously. And she feels more comfortable in a setting where people like know about her gender orientation. She just wants to be accepted for who she is. Seriously, that's all it needs. No pushing other people to do things that they're uncomfortable with doing. No forcing.
Amanda, put your mouth closer to the microphone.
Sorry. No forcing anything. I'd also like to put on the record because that the LGBTQIA plus community is very diverse, but it also doesn't condone stuff like what was that previous person talking about? Stuff like bondage or whatever. It's not. Oh, what?
That's please speak, but don't worry about the comments.
Sorry. It isn't about forcing another person to become what they aren't. It is about showing other people that they are valid for feeling for how they feel. And not allowing people to learn about these stuff will make other people think that they are weird, think that they don't belong anywhere, and think that they need to suppress their emotions. And if they suppress their emotions, well, that never ends up well. Because especially in children, if they don't know who they are, suicide rates are really high in teenagers, and especially high in the teenage LGBTQ plus community, because they feel like they can't be accepted anywhere. Acceptance, it's a really important thing, and letting people know that they aren't the only ones, it makes them feel valid. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, regarding agenda item 9.03, Lisa Victa. And would you like to speak now or when the agenda item comes up? Now? Okay.
Okay. With respect, Mr. Cooper, I appreciate that you want to defend kids, protect kids. And you know what? We as parents here have been doing that. The district has been doing that. The fact that you have invited the circus of your group, the IPSV, to come spread more misinformation is a major disservice to the community you are supposed to serve. Listening to the comments, I don't even know where they got the information that our teachers are teaching our kids to be gay. They're supposedly grooming them. They're supposedly, I don't even want to repeat these lies, because that's lies and misinformation is the virus that infected these people's minds and caused them to come here so that children have to defend the safe spaces that our district set up over several decades. They set that up to make our children feel safe so that they could just relax and learn and not be bullied and not be scared that somebody's gonna hurt them. Because I have seen homophobia within our schools, and having a resolution to create a sense of belonging, to create a dialogue that it is not okay for people to dismiss you, to hurt you just because of what you believe your identity is. That is what the resolution is for. The resolution is to create a safe space. I'm not going to try to convince these people what to believe, because they believe what they believe. I believe what I believe. What I want you and everybody here to try to do is to close your eyes. Actually, don't close your eyes because I don't feel safe with any of you here. What I want you to do, I'm a parent here. What I want you to
Lisa,
do.
may I remind you to speak to the board on this so that we can.
Okay, what I want
addressing the board.
you board to do is to just imagine what kids go through. Kids who identify as LGBTQ+, they feel unsafe for good reason. Look at all these people who are here to conflate sexuality with identity. They've made arguments that increase homophobia in the media, in social media, everything. That is what these kids are experiencing. And that is why I support your resolution to honor Pride Month, to recognize their existence, and to claim a safe space within our schools. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. For agenda item 9.03, next speaker is Susan, no last name. And do you want to speak to it now or when the agenda item comes up? And please provide your last name.
Susan Salinas is my last name, Salinas. Yes, there was a Pride Month, all right? That was in June, okay? What about a literacy month? What about boosting the score, the proficiency? The incarcerated in the state, most of them can't read or write or do math proficiently. Why do they get into gangs? Why do they get into crime? They want a sense of belonging. Someone cares. I fit in. Okay. Where are we headed with our students? We don't teach them to read and write and do math. Okay. They check out and they become alternative because everybody knows and they're called stupid. That happened all the time when I was a special ed teacher because they couldn't cut it and everybody knew it and they knew it. Their self-esteem was in it was tanked. Okay. So you got to teach them how to read, write, and do math, history, social science, all of that. Okay. That's your focus here. Education, not ideology, which is basically turned to a religion and it's being a minority. The tyranny of a minority is being pushed and pushed. It's not enough to have Pride Month. Now we got to have another month. Listen, history is about your merit and your contribution to the United States of America, not what you do in your bedroom. Really, what you do privately and sexually has nothing to do with it. Whether you're black, white, Your sexual preferences, you're disabled, you're not, has nothing to do with it. It's your contribution to this country. And stop politicizing, stop sexualizing little kids. I have extensive education in child development. You are pushing these adult agendas on little kids, 2, 3, 4 in the libraries and the schools. They're not ready for it. Let them be kids. That's what I remember. I went to school here. I've lived here since I was a year old in California. I have wonderful memories of my childhood. It was wholesome. It was good. I enjoyed it. This stuff wasn't pushed on me and forced on me. My mind, my body wasn't ready for it. So stop it altogether. Teach them how to read. Okay? Because if you know how to read, you're thinking. You're not just, bombarded with video games. You're thinking. Your general knowledge of the world is increased. You will be a success in life. That's what we need to do. We want these kids to be successful and competitive. It is tough out there. They're moving in from all over the world and competing for jobs right here in Silicon Valley. Our kids won't have a chance. That's what we need to be focused on. Education. That is your job. You leave the rest to the parents. Okay. Literacy month, proficiency and beyond for every student in this district. If you're above level, we're going to take you further.
Thank you.
If you're not proficient,
Thank you.
you're going to be proficient.
Thank you. Okay. That concludes our public comments. We move on to the agenda to item 5.01, Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, CCEIS, to address significant disproportionately. But before we do this, why don't we take a 5-minute break, because our board members need to rest a bit. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna start the meeting back up. The meeting will come to order. And we're on agenda item 5.01. We'll give it just a few more minutes. Please come back to order. If you're going to converse, please go outside the back of the door. Pardon me? Pardon me in the back. We're having a school board meeting now. If you'd like to speak, you may go to outside the lobby and continue your conversation. Again, pardon me in the back. I'm not looking at you. Thank you, sir. Please, if you're going to speak, please go outside into the lobby and we will continue the meeting. The board must be able to hear the presentation. So Amy, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, President Rodriguez, members of the board, Superintendent Cruz. This evening, I'm bringing up for an action item our Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, or CSIS plan. It's attached to being identified in significant disproportionality. And so the definition for what is disproportionality, it refers to an overrepresentation of a racial or ethnic group in one of the four categories. Either special education with a specific disability category, a disciplinary action, a more restrictive environment, or special education in general. Our significant disproportionality identification is Hispanic Latinx eligibility with specific learning disability, or SLD. And the way that the state calculates whether an LEA or a school district is identified in significant disproportionality is by pulling student data over a period of 3 years. What is a CSIS plan? So a comprehensive coordinated early intervening services plan were required by the CDE, the California Department of Education, to review all our student data. We're required to, as a coordinated services team, meaning that we ask for feedback from focus groups. That includes parents of the identified student group, staff. We conduct empathy interviews with our administration, as well as parents and staff. We do case file reviews of students that have been identified in our special education to see what their experience is in our system, to identify possible gaps in our processes. And through that, we go through a process of identifying our root causes. Through the root causes, we then determine our measurable outcomes, which are outlined in the proposed plan. And the intentionality of those measurable outcomes are to address the areas of SIGDIS, or significant disproportionality, through measurable outcomes that target the relevant student population. And so our ultimate goal is to address student needs before they're referred for special education. And each CSIS plan is implemented over a 27-month period of time. So just to give a little background of our identification, we were identified in March of 2023, so kind of winter of last school year. And then that initiated our partnership with technical assistance through our CSIS plan. And we began working with that team in April of 2023, and they helped coordinate all the things that I mentioned before, the empathy interviews and focus groups, collecting student data and case file reviews. This is just links. They're also attached in the board agenda itself. It is our abbreviated plan, as well as the rationale attached to the measurable outcomes and activities. So I'm just going to go straight into the measurable outcomes and activities that we identified through our teamwork. So measurable outcome number 1, by June 2025, first and second grade students scoring at a kindergarten level in reading will increase 5%. That's an overall increase of 5% in their ELA achievement as measured by our local data, which is Star Renaissance, and our ESGI scores, through the development of a tiered system of support. You may have heard multi-tier MTSS, or multi-tiered system of support within English language instruction. We've identified 5 sites that will be targeted for this particular student group. So the sites that we have selected based on the data and the root cause analysis are Hellier, Dahl, McKinley, Chiricahua, and Stonegate. And again, just reiterating who the target population is for those targeted sites. So that means that we have to collect data on the students that we identify within that category and quarterly report progress to the state. Activities within that outcome, I'm not going to read them verbatim, but essentially it's looking at targeted professional development for our teachers that are focused on differentiated and small group literacy work. Specifically, we're going to be targeting, we want to do that support for all of our teachers, but specifically for students that are teachers that are working with those targeted student groups at those school sites. Also partnering with our after school choral program to provide extended learning opportunities for the identified targeted students. So we'll work closely with our ELO coordinator and choral. A lot of our students do participate in the after school program, and we can provide intervention opportunities while they're still under our care. We also have an ELD teacher on special assignment, and part of her charge is to overall monitor our ELD programs, collect data, and then provide targeted instructional supports to support our English learners. We also have, through our LCAP, student support specialists, which are intervention teachers at all of our elementary school sites. They provide tier 2 intensive reading instruction support. And we're also naming that also be an activity to support our targeted student group at the sites to provide an extra tier of support specifically in reading instruction to accelerate their development. And then we also have a multilingual learner, TOSA, and then I mentioned before ELD TOSA, to continue to provide ongoing professional development. Analysis of our LPAC, which is the state assessment that we use to determine language acquisition for our language learners. We want to see that they're moving up a level each year and moving towards reclassification. Our second measurable outcome, again, is going to be the same target group. So you're going to see that thread throughout all of the activities. And then there'll be an adjusted focus. So meaning on outcome number 2, looking at implementing district-wide pre-referral. SST stands for Student Success or Student Study Team, and our Section 504 system that incorporates accountability, monitoring, and targeted interventions through our root cause analysis and review of board policy and procedures, we saw that there was some of our board policies that need to be updated, and we will be bringing those update around SST specifically. So we'll be bringing those updated policies to you probably as soon as January. So we'll be working on those so that we're current with our policies and practices. We're already in the process of training and implementing a district-wide student support or SST process. We've purchased basically a data warehouse or a system that we use called Beyond SST that allows us to unify our practices, the forms that we use, and then the processes. So it's just an example. And the purpose of having that as an outcome is how we identify students potentially for special education. They get referred for student SST, our student success team. And we want to be able to make sure that we're providing intervention and supports through that process and not have it be an automatic referral to special education. Really, our goal is to provide tier 1 and tier 2 support within a general ed setting to intervene early in order to provide support so we're not over-identifying students in special education. So basically all what I explained is basically the background for the 2 activities that are listed. Measurable outcome 3, same targeted group of 1st and 2nd graders. What we also notice about looking at our chronic absentee data, we have a high absentee rate of our kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade students. So really having a targeted support and intervention for our families so they understand how critical it is for their students to come to school on a regular basis. Sometimes, with the littles, parents are, like, oh, maybe they don't feel good today, or, oh, it's only kindergarten. But what we know from reading research is that as soon as a student misses 10% of their education or instruction, even at kindergarten, they're at a significant deficit, and it widens the reading achievement gap. So attendance is really, really critical so students can have best first instruction and have that habit of, coming to school, getting the instruction that they need, and so that there's not a gap that widens for their achievement. Again, targeted schools are the same targeted school that I mentioned before. And then specifically, we'll be working, all our schools have social workers at their site. So at the targeted schools, working with their social workers, with the targeted student list that we've identified, to also meet with their families and come up with a support plan if they also have data that shows that they're chronically absent. We want to eliminate barriers for our families to get their students to school. Kindergarten and 1st and 2nd grade students can't typically get themselves to school on their own. They rely on their adult or their family. So really engaging early with the family to help them understand how important it is to come to school, understand what the barriers are of getting their child to school, and what are some support or resources that we can connect the families to in order to support them, so we can help them and provide instruction. In addition to that, this is also written in our LCAP, so it's looking at expanding our PK program, which is our Parent Institute for Quality Education. It is a signature 8-week parent engagement program, and we've already implemented it at Bridges and McKinley in the past, and so we want to look at expanding it at our targeted schools. Really, this is a fabulous program to really help parents engage, have the tools and resources that they need to be able to connect with the schools and ask for the resources and support that they need to best support their students. And then I think finally, outcome 4. We also in our data, and you'll see that reflected in the rationale, is that we are over-identifying our Hispanic male students for office referrals and suspensions. We would say 77% of our referrals. And so really looking at tightening up our behavior metrics. Sorry, is it? Yeah. Okay, sorry. So really looking at how we have a draft behavior metrics that we've already begun to flesh out, but really starting to socialize and vet the matrix so that we're getting multiple voices and a clear tiered system in order to build a more restorative and responsive program for our students so that we can see a reduction not only in office referrals, but also in suspensions. And so that's some of the work that we've noted with the activities and outcome form. Okay, so our next steps. This plan is required to be submitted to the CDE. I think the 30th. I'm getting, yeah, the 30th. So I'm here today to get your input and hopefully board approval on the plan so we can submit it to the CDE. Once the CDE receives the plan, they review our plan and then will notify us usually around October whether or not our plan is approved or if we need to make adjustments to the plan. Upon approval, our next steps will be immediately scheduling PD for our targeted sites and staff. We already have a meeting scheduled next week to talk to the targeted school leadership team to discuss the plan and our anticipated next steps. We have named in our plan that we would like to identify 120 students that we are going to serve over the 27, and it actually compounds because it's over a school year. So the first school year will be 120 students in first and second grade for targeted intervention. We will start our coordination with Coral once we identify those students for the after school intervention. And then we have a student data technician in our department that pulls all the data regularly to conduct progress monitoring. And we do monthly check-ins and then more formal meetings with our leadership team to discuss progress on goals. If we need to exit students because they're improving, which happens, if we need to then add students to the program, or if students are not making progress, what do we need to do to change their plan to support them? So I know that was a lot, but happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Amy. And to be fair to you, I was just asking about the measurable outcome 4. I thought the referrals and suspension was already low at those 5 schools, but he reminded me that after COVID, they weren't. So so that was what we were discussing. So
yes. No, I just want to answer.
I feel bad because you're like a teacher. We're supposed to pay attention to you.
No,
So any comments or questions from the board members?
I just want to thank you, Amy, for putting together the plan so far. Sounds great. Hopefully as a district, we goals. I was going to ask you just a quick question. What kind of professional developments do you coming up?
Yeah, no, that's a great
like restorative
question.
Justice,
Yeah. So we've this year launched our core literacy block as a district. And there's 2, and that's based on the science of reading. And we've done a lot of work around just understanding the components of a strong literacy program. And that was work that we had done last year. We introduced the framework in the spring, and now we're rolling out the first domain, which is learning to read. So there's 2 main domains. Be careful when you ask about reading, because I'll talk a lot about it. The first domain is learning to read. And then the second domain is reading to learn. So those are kind of the overarching domains when it comes to literacy and reading. And then there's breakdown of components. So we're focusing as a district on the learning to read component. So that includes phonemic awareness, phonics, word study, vocabulary. So those are doesn't mean that we're ignoring the other pieces, but in terms of what we're expending resources on and professional development. So our teachers are going to receive, they had the opportunity to choose that at our staff development, the phonics and phonemic awareness, but teachers at those targeted schools will receive a multi-day intensive on phonics and phonemic awareness, because those are critical foundational skills in learning to read in first and second grade. And then the other piece is we're trying to identify the piece that's missing, we feel, is also the language acquisition. So it's not about just supporting students how to read. We have a high English learner population, and if we're not addressing the language development of our students, that is something that our teachers do need additional professional development to be able to support that oral language development coupled with the reading development.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes,
Mark?
Amy, I have a question. I see measurable outcome number 3. It says by June 2025, first through second grade students will achieve 5% growth in English language arts by increasing Hispanic, Latinx families and students' connectedness to the school community. I realize we have near 60% of our population is Hispanic, but what about the rest of the students? Aren't they in need of this as well? I know we have 37, 38% Vietnamese as well. So I'm just curious, why is it just targeted with the Hispanic Latinx families?
Yeah, so it's targeted for Hispanic Latinx family because that's the ethnic and racial group that's been identified for significant disproportionality. So the CDE does require us to show that we are being intentional in how we're serving and interrupting that over identification of that racial group. So it doesn't mean that we wouldn't serve other parents or it's not available to other parents. So like PK, which is listed in there, right? Is that the measurable outcome? That's available to all parents, but we'll just do extra concerted effort to reach out to our Hispanic Latinx families so that because oftentimes there's also a language barrier with our Hispanic and Latinx families. They don't speak English. And so how are we leveraging? We do have district liaisons. We actually have 3 Spanish speaking interpreters and translators that work for us here at the district. So also leveraging them to be able to support reaching out to those school sites. Those school sites don't have liaisons on their campus. So how can we also leverage our district resources to help principals and teachers engage their families so they can access the resources that we have available?
All right, thank you. Yes, I was just aware. I know there's many Vietnamese families with the same kind of language concerns as well. So that's why I brought that up. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions from the board?
Just real quick, thank you, Amy, for that very important information. And I guess I have a little bit more insight into CSIS because I was on the Zoom
Yes,
call.
thank you. You are on a part of our team.
Excellent.
Yeah, Trustee Sanchez, thank you.
A great presentation and great questions. I was going to ask you real quick, in terms of the Parent Institute, are you combining the schools for one institute or does each school have their own Parent Institute?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, we haven't reached out to PK to, to see like, can we do all the schools at once? So we're also thinking if we can stagger, the partnership. So I don't anticipate us doing like everybody at the same time, but looking at over the 27-month period, how we can cycle in, the training for our schools and for our parents.
Well,
thank you.
I'm familiar with PK and I recommend you look into having each one at each school.
Yes.
Because
yes.
a lot of times the parents know each other.
Yeah, and they make that connection, right? And you want them to be a part of your school.
Exactly.
Community. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Okay, thank you, Amy.
Okay, thank you.
And I will now accept a motion from the board on this agenda item.
I move to approve 5.01, the 2023 Comprehensive Coordinated Early
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 5.01 as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it looks like it passes unanimous. Okay, item 5.02 summer programs presentation, and I believe that's Christina. Well, welcome.
Good evening, Board President Rodriguez, Superintendent Cruz, and members of the school board. I'm Joyce Scarpinato. I'm the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, and I am joined here with Christina Ravo, our Coordinator of ELOP. We are here because we're going to share with you a snapshot of our FMSD summer programming that took place in June and July of this summer. We were able to serve 1,177 students in our summer programming this summer across the 5 different sites. We held summer programming at Bridges, CCA, Franklin, Shirakawa, and Stonegate. We've listed below all the details of how many students were at each of these locations in addition to the partnerships that partnered with us to extend our school day and to offer some enrichment opportunities to our students after our instructional minutes ended. So we have strong partnerships with Coral. We can't thank Coral enough. In addition to Coral supporting breakfast, recess, and after school, we had one Coral Cassie that would help all of our FMSD teachers as an aide in the classroom. And we had some classrooms that were actually led by Coral Cassies because we had such high enrollment this year. We didn't have enough teachers, FMSD teachers, to teach in the program. So we welcomed our Coral Cassies, many of whom want to be teachers. And so this was really a great training experience for them. So we cannot thank our partnership with Catholic Charities enough. In addition to our partnership with Coral, we also worked with Breakthrough Silicon Valley. Breakthrough Silicon Valley partners with Franklin-McKinley School, and we select specific students to take place in math, science, and English language arts and enrichment opportunities. So the Breakthrough program was housed this summer at Bridges Academy. And at Bridges Academy, they were able to serve 120 students in grades 7 and 8. We additionally partnered with Audacity. We were able to bring enrichment opportunities into the afternoon space with Coral. We offered folklorico, hip hop, and podcasting classes to our students across TK through 8th grade. We also partnered with San Jose Jazz for music classes that took place after our instruction during Coral. And then finally, we partnered with Elevate Math. Elevate Math also targets specific students to ensure that math standards are being taught and to raise success rates for them. So we were able to partner with Elevate, and we had them also at Bridges Academy with us this summer.
Hold on. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. So good evening, everyone. So the feedback at the end of our program, we wanted to solicit feedback not only from our staff and our Coral Cassies, but also from our families. That way we can continue to improve our practices and better serve our students and create a better learning environment in years to come and in future programs. Some of the key recommendations or feedback from the staff included more collaboration time, so that way they can work together with their fellow teachers. Shared contracts are great. They liked that part. So if a teacher didn't want to give up their whole summer, but maybe split a contract with another, that allowed the students to still receive education from a certificated teacher. Also more hours for the secretaries at the start of the program. That way we can make sure we could hit the ground running and things were organized and ready for not just the staff, but for the students and the families when they showed up that first day. And also making sure we confirm our school sites a little bit earlier to allow for more planning time to make sure that everything is ready to go on day one. Some of the families' feedback included more rigorous curriculum in the Coral only classes. Like Joy mentioned, we did have a higher enrollment than we expected, and so we had to pivot. So again, making sure we try and plan a little bit earlier, that will help us provide that curriculum for our students, as well as more focused curriculum with the teachers. So whether they focus on intervention or they're accelerating and bridging, just have a specific focus for those teachers. And then also just more flexibility for pickup times. The pickup was done mostly by our Coral staff. So working with them on coordinating different times that families could come pick up their students, whether it be at lunchtime or an early afternoon or at the end of the day at 6 p.m. That 9-hour day can be really long for the kinders. And so how can we be more flexible with that to accommodate our students? This is just some graphs of our family feedback survey straight from the survey. The green and blue, the kind of teal blue, those are highest positives. So as you can see, a huge majority of our families, the students enjoyed the summer program. They felt like it helped their students with academic learning. They were satisfied with the instruction and activities. And again, over 75%, they thought the program was great. So the families were very happy and satisfied with the programs that their students received. You can see the breakdown of the percentages there. Again, the 5 is the best. So that's why it's the highest. So with all the feedback that we received from all of our stakeholders, our next steps and recommendations, like I mentioned, is to make sure we begin our planning and recruitment process earlier. So not just recruitment for students, but recruitment for staff to make sure we have that high quality staff lined up for our students. Also have one common registration. One of the things that came up was making students were double enrolled in programs. And so making sure that we get them enrolled in just one program to make sure we have the right programs available. And then working with our special education department to provide an inclusion program for students with IEPs that don't qualify for extended school year. Well, how can we still support those students and the expanded learning arena? And that goes hand in hand with what Amy was just talking about. So those were our next steps. That was summer school in a nutshell. It was positive. It's fun. Everyone always loves summer school. But I'd like to open up for questions.
Any questions from board members or comments? Mark?
Yes, I have. Thank you. A great presentation. I love ESY. I've been teaching it forever. I love it. I know many students love it. What's the availability of certificated teachers? Are you having I know many of us teachers, we just love our summers off. And so getting teachers to come and teach during summer school or ESY, whichever, probably hard. What is what's that look for our district?
Sorry.
For the summer programs.
Are you asking how many credentialed teachers we had, or are you asking what our process is?
No.
Okay.
Do we have enough for their summer programs? And what are we doing?
Yeah, so I can help. So ESY, yes, we had, we were able to fill all our, and that was definitely a priority for us because ESY, as you know, is a required, program that we offer our special education students that qualify for ESY. So we were able to fill and provide enough sections with certificated teachers for our ESY program. For our kind of enrichment intervention for the rest of our students, it is still a challenge to identify teachers that are willing to teach after the school year. So, we try to recruit early, we try to incentivize, we look at adding a financial incentive, but that is something that we need to continue. I think one recommendation that we have for this coming year is actually we haven't opened it up to outside credential teachers this last school year. And then prior to that, we've only opened it up to our staff. So a recommendation would be to actually advertise it outside to see if we can identify credentialed teachers that are outside of our district or new teachers that just received their credential that would like to have some. I know that's how I started many, many years ago. So, providing that opportunity for our up and coming teachers.
Thank you. And that leads me to the next question, which I was going to, is there a requirement to have a certificated teacher teaching the students during summer school? Or can it be a non-classified or not? What is the requirement to be teaching during summer school?
In our general education summer school programs, we tried to put a credentialed teacher in, but we do not have to because it's not part of the instructional minute. So that is how we are able to run camp versus like a traditional summer school.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I just want to say thank you to you, Joyce, Christina, the teachers and all the students involved. Seemed like it was a really successful summer school program. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, I do have one. Under the family feedback, and I think that's under slide 4. It says more rigorous curriculum in choral. Did you pass this on to choral? Are they going to?
We're working really closely with Coral in partnership with Christina and our after school opportunities. So this year we were able to provide Coral with a week of training prior to the start of the school year. They're also going into a week of training next week. And all of their training aligns to our programs that we currently have in FMSD, as well as some of the extension opportunities and remediation opportunities that we're going to be providing in Coral this year.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Some families ask for more rigorous curriculum during the summer school. I mean, I thought it would be fun, but that's fine. If that's what they want, then I guess maybe Coral can help us with that. Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. It was excellent. Okay, I was just reminded that it's almost 10 PM and we will need a motion to extend the meeting. So I will accept a motion from a board member to extend the meeting past 10 PM.
I'd like to make a motion to extend the meeting past 10 PM.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to extend the meeting past 10 PM. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Thank you, Vice President Sanchez, for that reminder. Okay, we're now on to consent items. And I will ask the board members for all of those consent items under 6, 7, and 8. Would you like to pull any of those and move them to action? None? Okay, so we'll go on to consent items under 6. Members of the public may address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items in accordance with board bylaws 9323. Individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. Is there anybody from the public who would like to make a comment under consent items under 6? Seeing none, I will accept a motion on consent items under 6.
I move to approve 6.01, 6.02, and 6.0.
There's a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve consent items 6.01, 2, and 3. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Consent item 7. Members of the public may address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items in accordance with board bylaws 9323. Individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise stipulated. Would anybody from the public like to make a comment under consent items under 7? Seeing none, I will accept a motion from the board.
I move to accept agenda items 7.01, 7.02, 7.03, 7.04, 7.5, and 7.
There's a second. Moved and seconded to approve consent items 7.01 to 7.06. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Construction items 8. Members of the public may address the board on consent items before the board's consideration of the items in accordance with board bylaws 9323. Individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each unless otherwise stipulated. Would anyone in the public like to make a comment on consent items under construction 8.01 and 8.02? Seeing none, I will accept a motion from the board.
Move to approve construction items 8.01 and 8.02.
There's a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve construction items 8.01 and 8.02. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimous. I think I need another cup of coffee. Okay, action items. Action item 9.01, September 12th, 2023, open session minutes. The board members received a copy in advance. Are there any corrections? If there are none, I will accept a motion when the board is ready.
President, I'd like to make a motion on item 9.01 to accept the September 12th, 2023 open session minutes.
There's a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the open session minutes for September 12th, 2023. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Personnel report, Vice President Sanchez.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that the personnel report be approved as submitted and that A, the employment for the following employees be approved. Rachel Dagbini, psychologist at the district office effective 9/25/2023. Melissa Torres, behavior intervention therapist at the district office effective 9/21/2023. Tanya Romero, paraeducator, special education at Kennedy effective 9/21/2023. And Raquel Ceballos, noon duty supervisor at Lerone School effective 9/26/2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel report and the addendum along with that. All those in favor, or is there any questions, comments? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion carries unanimous. 9.03. Now, we did have a public comment request who asked to wait until the agenda item came up. And so I call up Ava Chow. And I'd like to welcome a fellow trustee from another school district, correct?
Is correct. Cupertino Union School District. I'm here on my own behalf. I am very concerned, fellow trustee members, and I'm really glad to hear that there's a resolution coming up to protect, to honor LGBTIQ month. I am also a teacher. Franklin-McKinley School District feeds into Eastside Union High School District, in which I am a high school biology teacher. And it is really good to hear that our students will be welcomed and they feel safe. As a teacher in a classroom, no matter how good of a teacher you are, if a student feels unsafe, they will not be able to learn because they will be in constant fear. So this is really good. Also in Article 5.5, Safe Place to Learn Act, it is Ed Code 234. This article shall be known and may be cited as Safe Place to Learn Act. It is the policy of the state of California to ensure that all local educational agencies continue to work to reduce discrimination, harassment, violence, intimidation, and bullying. It is further the policy of the state to improve pupil safety at schools and the connections between pupils in support of adults, schools, and communities. On top of that, we are in the state of California where we have equal protection clause. We also have California's constitutional rights to privacy, where our students have the rights to their own privacy. There is also Ed Code 200 and 220 that we should not be discriminating persons based on a disability, gender, gender identity, gender expression, nationality, race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characteristic that is contained in the definition of hate crimes set forth in section 422.55 of the Penal Code, including immigration status in any program or activity conducted by an educational institution that receives or benefits from state finance or enrolls pupils who receive state student financial aid. So I really do appreciate and I support my own personal support of a resolution to honor LGBTIQ month. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We are considering resolution number 2023-37 in support of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ plus History Month. Superintendent Cruz.
Yeah, so this is our annual resolution that we bring forward. And not to say that we don't work on this all day, every day, schools, to create an inclusive learning environment, which is our opportunity for us to make sure that our students feel safe, regardless of their beliefs, regardless of their gender or racial identity. And, you know, we bring these resolutions forward, again, to have a focus or an opportunity to pause and have a dialogue and have our students learn the history of everyone in our community. And so this is, again, a national recognition of LGBTQ History Month. And so we bring this for the board's consideration.
Okay, thank you. Now, questions or comments from the board? Milan?
I just want to recognize during that what we will just safe all of our regardless any outside words or them not to put safe in. Very important.
Any other comments? Stephen?
For me, it's always crucial to foster an inclusive and safe environment for all of our students in Franklin-McKinley. And I think that really occurs when students about cultures and communities that, right? And so by approving this resolution, I think we empower students to express themselves, right? And steer clear of that discrimination, right, that they fear. And so I think that's going to allow them to focus on their education and personal growth. And so I'm going to be in favor.
Any other comments?
I just had a quick question for the superintendent. In terms of the resolution, superintendent, I know this is not the first time we bring this forward. We've brought this forward maybe the last several years.
We've been bringing this forward since I've been here, and I believe it's before my tenure here. Again, this is a national recognition, not just, here in Franklin-McKinley or California. This is part of the governance calendar that the board has approved, and looking at the various actions that the board wants to have brought forward to the board that is approved by the board in January. So this is a regular resolution that we bring forward for your consideration.
Any other questions?
Yes, I'd have a question. This is being couched, and I agree with Trustee Sanchez, and I agree with Trustee Valentin that we are to provide a safe environment for all of our students of all ethnicities, socioeconomic backgrounds, creed, religions, even sexual identity, as it's been called. We are to provide safe space at all times. But this resolution is not about creating a safe space. Resolution is about recognizing and having a LGBT, and to correct you, President Rudy, you said the teachers weren't going to be teaching this. Well, it says this right in the resolution. You wouldn't let me interrupt you to make a point of order, but it says right there, now therefore be resolved that the governing board of Franklin-McKinley School District recognizes the accomplishments of LGBTQ people in history, encourages all schools to recognize October as LGBTQ plus History Month, and encourages teachers to teach lessons about LGBTQ plus history in their classrooms. I believe you said, and I can go back and look at the records, that you said the teachers weren't going to be teaching this. That's not what the resolution states. Again, I want to make the point that, and I can read several letters. I will just, if you allow me a few lines from each letter that we have received, that there are many people that are against giving another month. We agreed to, we voted as a school board to have Gay Pride Recognition Month in the month of June. We did that. And as it's already been mentioned by so many people, constituents, people that have come out tonight, say there's other things that we need to be focusing on. Literacy, have a month of literacy. How about the month of October and November coming up? We have veterans. Why not have a month to recognize our veterans? If we're talking about history, let's talk about other things. But to give another month to something that we've already had in our school in June, which we voted for as a school board to recognize and to provide safe space and a safe place for our students to come to, and to why have another month? This seems like a moot point, like something we really don't need. We need to be focusing. And again, I can bring the stats up. Many people have brought the stats before us. And somebody else said they're just numbers. No, they're children who are not learning. 22% of our children, as was relayed by California Reading Coalition in 2022, we placed 170th out of 285 school districts. 22% of our children are at grade level proficiency. But we're going to focus on having another month about LGBTQ. Let's have that in June. Why can't we focus on something else like academics, which so many people have been focusing and have said that's what we need to focus. I'll read just a few lines from letters that you have record of, and I want to remind, because maybe some of these people didn't get access to those letters, weren't sent these letters from people. Have a second LGBT History Month. Let me offer a clear perspective as this why this is unwise and counterproductive. Elevating group characteristics above individual achievement is dehumanizing, politically motivated, and will drive parents from our district, as it has ours, and this person from LA. Please prioritize education and let all other concerns become secondary. This is not your job. Do the right thing. Another one said also, please don't pass another LGBTQ History Month. The more LGBT is celebrated, the more trans identifying children numbers will rise. Trans identification is a harmful act because they are told they need to change their healthy body with hormones and surgeries. Parents need has already been brought up, notification policy. I won't go there because there's already been a resolution brought up by, I believe, Aaron Friday. And us be interested to see how the superintendent responds to that resolution. But no, we don't need another LGBTQ History Month when we already gave a whole month of that. We need to focus on the academics. Again, I like the idea of having a literacy month. How about a reading month? How about a math month? How about focus on the education of our children? Aren't we the school board of education? School board of education. Let that sink in.
Okay, thank you. And I really don't have any comments or questions for the resolution, so I will move to adopt resolution number 2023-37 in support of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ plus History Month. I'll accept. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2023-37 in support of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ plus History Month. And I want to remind the board that the comments made by Trustee Cooper about what I stated are wrong and they're inaccurate. And as far as having the last word that he's accused me of, it's not because I have the last word. I'm going to correct every single error that you make regarding putting words in my mouth. So that's going to happen. Okay. Any other comments before we vote?
Yes, I got a comment. I mean, Mark thinks that we're focusing everything on this resolution. Have you not heard of the tutorial programs we have at school? Right, that extra staff support that we're offering to schools? Like you're a school board member, like you've been to the school sites, you've seen the tutorial program that we have in place. You say we're not about academics, but you see that we're all trying here to bring up these test scores. And you think that this is all we're focusing on. No, we're just doing this as a portion of the SEL of all of our students. We want them to feel safe. So you keep on saying that we're not doing anything to help out our academics. We just had a summer school presentation that talked about all these reading and math programs that we had during the summer to improve that. You've been to the school sites. Have you seen tutorial programs?
I've been to, yeah, I've seen those programs. I've seen many programs.
So we are doing something to improve the academics. Yes or no?
I look at our data and I see what we're doing and what our grades are showing. And no, we're not. The last 8 years, we've been going down, 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 down.
We've had a pandemic.
We are the lowest now in our reading that we've ever been. 22%. That's pathetic. So please don't lecture me on being a teacher and about education. We have many board members that aren't even in the education world that have no idea about that. So to tell me that, and I'm going to every site to actually go and I'm meeting with the superintendent monthly to see how we're doing educationally speaking. Are we teaching our children? How's the education coming? What assessments do we have in place? And those are the questions that I ask every single principal when I go speak to them. So thank you for your comment, but I'm addressing this one resolution, which is not about education. It's about another month for LGBTQ History Month, which we've already had their insurance.
Mr. President. Yeah, I just want to say that I feel very comfortable moving forward with this resolution. And I think it really it gives a lot of support to all of our kids, and our teachers, and we need to move forward and approve this resolution at this time. Thank you.
Hey, any other comments, questions?
Just wanted to re-echo so that the public will know that our decision or the decisions that my colleagues here will make is based on what it says when you read the document. And it says that we are committed to ensuring a safe and inclusive learning environment. Learning. One last thing. We are to be responsible about the words that we are using when we are talking to the public. Yes, these are your children. These are our children. These are my neighbor's children. We are talking about people whose names oftentimes have not been spoken about, not because of their sexuality, but because they were often silenced and not able to speak their own name. This is not about not teaching them who these people are. These are about allowing our teachers and our educators to make an inclusive environment in those classrooms. So please understand, when you go and you read this public information, which is free to all, it is free to all to hold us accountable as trustees and ensuring that we keep your children safe. But it reads in there what the objective is of our staff, all of us as trustees, and the entire district. And so I don't want those words to be mischaracterized by we're just throwing out there another month. That's not what's happening here. And that's not why I'm going to support this.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
And one last thing. I just want to say, in this resolution, I wish half the people that were bussed in actually read the resolution before they got here, because there's nothing about transitional surgeries in here. There's nothing about parental rights in this resolution. So obviously they didn't read it. They just came because the bus was leaving. And that's it. So hopefully next time they do their research before they come over here and try to degrade our districts.
Well, I don't believe they were talking about that when it was open forum. That was to speak about anything.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I think we're ready to vote. And I do want to make one more comment. And yes, it is a last comment. And I'm proud to make it. Our district is proud to support diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging. In fact, we even have a district committee on that. And we are committed to including all of our students. And that's why I support this resolution so strong. And that's why I made the motion to approve it, to adopt it. So now we'll go ahead and vote. All those board members in favor of the before I take the vote, I want to also mention to the board that in the past years, I think it's been about 8 years now we've had this resolution. The vote has been unanimous. So please take note tonight. All those in favor of adopting the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Next item on the agenda is 9.04, resolution number 2023-38, recognizing the second Monday of October as Indigenous Peoples Day. Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. Again, this is brought forward as the governance calendar indicates, and this is a nationally recognized day. Again, not that we only provide access to our students in regards to the history and injustices that have been in terms of our Indigenous community, but it gives, again, a pause and an opportunity for reflection and for intentionality so that our staff feel that they're being supported by the community, that they can bring this forward. Again, our intent is to make sure that we have an inclusive and a safe environment for all students. And in this case, we're talking about our community of Indigenous people.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Comments?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I think we have speakers speak on this. I apologize to the Indigenous people, especially in our area. We should give a whole,
Please, no comments from the audience, please.
we should give a whole month. We should give a whole year. We should teach about Indigenous people. That's true history of our country. That's what we need to be teaching about the people that this land belongs to. But I will approve this for one day, but I believe it should be a whole month. That would be best.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
I just want to say, in our TCI social studies curriculum, Native American culture is built. So if you took a look at that, you would have seen that.
Any other comments?
No, I'm just very proud to go ahead and approve this resolution. You know, Indigenous people were here long before Columbus arrived on this country. Gave us a rich culture, rich history, which they still do throughout the land. And I'm very proud to support this resolution.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay. Okay, I do have a comment. I'm indigenous and my ancestors were made slaves. Their land was taken away. And to have somebody come up here earlier during the public comments who was not indigenous and insult me and my ancestors really hurt me. And I really, I didn't know what to think. I wanted to yell back, but being a leader, I took the higher road, and that's what we all must do. And I'm proud to be indigenous, and having a resolution such as this means a lot to me. So I will fully support this resolution. I will now accept a motion to adopt the resolution.
May I say something real quick to respond?
We don't. And I'll respond to you if you're wrong.
Thank you. That's fine. Thank you. I do not know I do not know that gentleman his ethnicity. Did you know that I'm indigenous? Did you know that I'm part Blackfoot?
Okay.
That my grandmother was Blackfoot? So you're saying that this gentleman that made his announcement, you called him non-indigenous. I'm glad you know things like that, because I didn't know that.
Any other comments or questions?
I move to approve agenda item 9.04 to adopt the resolution number 2023-38, recognizing the second Monday of October as Indigenous People Day.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2023-38 as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item 9.05, resolution 2023-39, Disability Awareness Month. Superintendent Cruz.
And as the previous resolutions, again, we bring this forward annually. Again, not to indicate that this is the only time that we support our students in our community that are disabled or otherwise. But again, it gives us an opportunity to pause and be very intentional in regards to how we support students that have a learning disability, and that we provide an inclusive environment. One of the things that very proud of this district is continuing to look at developing programs that support the least restrictive environment for our students, and not exclude them, as history has in the past have designated the back part of the campus for students with disabilities. So we strive to always be inclusive. And in this resolution that we bring forward, we are talking about our students with disabilities.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm very proud of all the programs that are out there throughout all the grade levels that support our students. I see the benefits of those programs every day at the high school level where I'm at. So very, very supportive of this resolution.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I will accept a motion on this agenda item.
I move to accept agenda item 9.05 to adopt resolution 2023-39, Disability Awareness Month.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 2023-39, Disability Awareness Month. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item 9.06, resolution number 2023-40, School Administrator Week. Superintendent Cruz.
Yes, and again, we bring resolutions like this. This is not to say that we don't appreciate and honor the hard work that our school administrators do every single day. But again, it gives us an opportunity to be publicly be able to recognize. And again, this is a nationally recognized week in regards to our school administrators. And so we bring this forward for your consideration.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to thank Superintendent Cruz and all the district. Jason, thank you all for all that you do throughout the school year. Thank you for the curriculum design, and Jason, thank you for breaking down the numbers for us in nice, colorful charts, and so we can easily understand it. So thank you for that. I also want to thank all of our site administrators for working with the students throughout the school year and making sure our policies are carried out. So thank you all.
Any other questions, comments?
Want to ditto those remarks by Board Member Sanchez. Because I know just how hard the administrators work. And I think it's getting more difficult to find administrators now. Teachers don't want to go into administration. Too many hours. I know Eastside is reaching out into the middle schools now, to get administrators. Can hardly find any administrators, the respective high school. Anyway, so my hat goes off to hard work put in by administrators on a daily basis.
Any other comments, questions? I want to also echo,
I was gonna say, I echo my colleagues in regards to appreciating our administrators. Week is not enough, but we do definitely appreciate all that you do in administrative work, making the district work for our students and our community.
and I will double echo that. I think our administrators know, and that's also including our principals too, right? Know how much I appreciate them and all of their hard work. Unfortunately, you'll have to come into work during the school administrators week. So, but we'll try to think of doing something special for all of our leaders at our campuses and throughout our district office who actually make me very proud of our district. And there's a lot of people who are proud of our district. I fully support this resolution. I will now accept a motion on this agenda item.
I move to accept agenda item 9.06, resolution number 2023-40, school administrator week.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2023-40, school administrator week. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimous. Item 9.07, approval to utilize U.S. Communities 2022 contract number RTC 18004 awarded to Verco for office furniture to be installed at Business Services Department. And it looks like, is this Luann or you, Jason?
At this one. Thank you.
Okay.
So it's been over 2 decades since there's been any major improvement in the services department. This department houses payroll team, the accounts payable team, facilities, purchasing, custodial, HVAC supervisors, and other teams within business services. As a result, business services is in need of new furniture, carpet, and other improvements to better address various items, including adequate privacy for payroll-related matters, connectivity issues, and accommodate current staffing levels, as well as eliminate any hazards. To do so and to complete the improvements as quickly as possible, the facilities team has utilized Public Contract Code Section 20118 to piggyback off of previously awarded competitively bid contract to acquire and install furniture from. So it is recommended that the Board of Education approve and utilize this previous contract from U.S. Community Master Contract Number RTC 18004 order to purchase and install.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I will accept a motion on this item.
I move to accept 9.07.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve agenda item 9.07 as stated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimous. Item 9.08, approval to utilize U.S. Communities 2020 contract number R191812 awarded to ODP for office furniture to be installed at the Business Services Department. Jason, is that you again?
That is me again, and it's the same explanation as the last board agenda item. So I will turn it over to any questions that you may have.
Okay, any questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion on this agenda item.
I move for approval on item 9.08.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve agenda item 9.08 as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item 9.09, second reading of board policy and ARS 141.21 administering medication and monitoring health conditions. Superintendent Cruz.
So we bring this for a second reading and approval of the amendments to board policy and AR. We have received no public comment regards to the proposed changes to the board policy in the AR. This is be able to, for us to provide in middle school the opportunity for our staff to be trained and to be able to have the Narcan medication to be administered in the event that a student is believed to have a fentanyl overdose that is proven to be effective in saving lives. And so we want to make sure that we have that available in our schools that provide instruction for 7th and 8th graders. And so we ask the board for your approval.
Okay, any additional questions? I know we had an opportunity last meeting to ask questions. Any board members have any additional questions? If not, I will accept a motion to approve to accept the second reading and approve the amendments to the board policy.
I move for approval of item 9.09.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve agenda item 9.01 as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimous. Okay, we're heading into the stretch run of our meeting. Now we're on to 10 communications from the superintendent.
Yes, thank you. Had the opportunity to attend the event at Hellier in which they celebrated and recognized the independence of Mexico, September 16th, and of many of the Latin American countries. And so they very pleased to have such engagement from the entire Hellier community. We had a lot of parents there that came together as a whole community in support of the school and all its members. Also had the opportunity on Friday to be part of a panel and be part of the Silicon Valley Education Foundation first annual education summit, in which a lot of different topics were addressed, but particularly one that addresses the inadequate funding that public schools receive compared to other parts of the community that have almost get more twice as much funding than schools like school districts like ours. And so there's a real effort to equalize funding for our schools and making sure that we have the adequate resources for serving our community. That is all.
Thank you, Superintendent Cruz. Next, we have communication agenda item 11, communication from the Board of Education. And I will start with Mark.
Thank you. I just wanted to, as far as my understanding goes, I've been looking at a lot of schools and I go around all the time. I was under the impression that we have the highest expenditure for students ever, and the most money for all of our students. So we're getting the most money for students ever, and it goes up every year, but our learning is the lowest and it's been sliding for the last 8 years. So I was curious about Superintendent Cruz's comments about lacking money or not having enough money. Seems that our student expenditure money that we're spending for our students is the highest it's ever been, and yet our learning is the lowest it's ever been. Side note, excuse me for that. Friday the 9/15, I went to the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month at Hellier. I believe a teacher said over here at Chiricahua says, "I've never seen you." Well, I've been to Chiricahua probably more than any other school in the district. I missed you because I've been there several times. Okay. I look forward to seeing you again.
Excuse me, this
for the first time.
This is the report.
And I love Chiricahua Sharks. I've got so much. Ask my wife.
Mark, you can hold the conversation after
Thank
the
you.
board meeting, please.
Thank you.
This is the communication from you to report on what you did since the last board meeting, please.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
and also on Tuesday, the 19th, I went and visited Hellier School. Today, went and visited Dahl Elementary School. So I've been going around weekly to sometimes 2 or 3 schools a week to communicate with teachers and principals and to see what learning is happening and what their goals are about increasing learning on their campuses. So I've heard so many comments. I'm not in touch with the community. I'm not in touch with the teachers or the schools. That's simply not true. Thursday, actually, I'm looking forward to Thursday this week. I'm going to Long Beach to the Unity Conference. I'm looking forward to going to Long Beach for that. October 25th, I've asked Superintendent Cruz if I could go to the CSBA Brown Act training, since apparently there's been some discussion about my knowledge of the Brown Act. I thought that would be very, very appropriate that I would go as soon as possible to Brown Act training. So I appreciate Superintendent Cruz putting that out, that I don't have to drive, and there's a virtual Brown Act training in January. But I said, no, I think it'd be more prudent that I go right now. So I appreciate you accommodating me to go in on October 25th. I'll be going to get Brown Act training. And I just want to also throw the minute. I've been to many classrooms. Some of you say that, well, we're not teaching with this. We're not indoctrinating. We're not. I've heard that many times tonight. A third to half of the classrooms that I've attended have had only the LGBT flag, not even an American flag. So don't tell me that we're not indoctrinating, or teachers are not training their children what to think or what to believe. So when I see taking away civic responsibility to teach about American history and American government and removing the American flag to put up an alternative agenda flag, I don't think that's appropriate. We look forward to in the future. We'll have a resolution that will have American flag in every single classroom.
Got it?
I want to end with one thing, because it's been thrown at me that somehow apparently I don't like LGBTQ. That's so far from the truth. A quote from scripture, because some people, even many of the speakers have spoken about this from the scripture. So I'm going to leave with this. Thank you for your patience. Matthew chapter 22, verse 36 through 40. Master, somebody came to Jesus and said, which is the great commandment in the law? Speaking, Jesus said unto them,
excuse me,
thou
trustee,
shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I love everybody. I'm following my Lord Jesus Christ.
Excuse me,
He says to love everybody.
Trustee Cooper,
Brown,
Trustee Cooper.
black, white, yellow, gay, lesbian. It doesn't matter. We are to love everybody else.
Mark.
Thank you.
Mark,
Thank
can you please turn your microphone off, please?
Thank you.
Please turn your microphone off. Mark, I want to remind you and the rest of the board that this item, communications from the Board of Education, is for reports on what you did, not what you're going to do or any editorials. Next time I hear you inappropriately make remarks and editorials on different items, I'm going to hammer the gavel and rule you out of order. So I will do that for every board member that provides an editorial comment during a communication from the board when you're supposed to be talking about activities that you attended, not activities that you're going to, activities that you attended. When you attend activities at our next board meeting, you can report on what occurred that you did go to. We went through this through our board orientation. And I want to remind all board members, and specifically today, Trustee Mark Cooper, for your inappropriate remarks about religion, when we must recognize all religions, not just yours. Okay, next report is Stephen. Stephen, please, the meeting will come to order. We do not have public comments at this time. So I ask the audience to please act accordingly, or I will have you escorted out of the room immediately. I'm not even going to wait next time. No warning. Thank you.
All right, I'll make mine short and sweet. First thing I did was I helped out the second Harvest Food Bank at Lerone School. We were able to give out 10 pallets of food to the community. I attended the Latino America Independence Day celebration at Hellier, so I want to thank Principal Jacinto for that invitation. It was great to see all the community there helping out. We got to see singers, dancers, a fashion show, the students, so that was a great event. I also attended a master in governance course on Saturday where we went over student learning and achievement. We went over policy creation and judicial review. So it was great to collaborate with trustees from other districts, including who's in the audience. I got to meet her this weekend. That's my report.
Thank you. Milan?
I was able to also attend the, independent failure to engage with the community, families, and learn much more about independence for one of our most vulnerable communities. I took a wonderful tour of CCA and got to experience what our brand new principal over there is visioning happening over at his campus, as well as a tour of Ravenswood with the principal there to engage with a lot of students who were walking up to introduce myself. And so it was great to meet our constituents right there on the school campus, any of the staff members to learn what their needs. And this past weekend, I was able to attend the Moon Festival, ICANN and the Vietnamese community to experience not only the celebration, but things that they need and expect from our school district. And I was able to also engage with our team that was out there passing out programs, services that our district provides. So that is my quick.
Thank you. George?
Real quick, attended the Mexican Independence Day celebration at Hellier. It was great. Principal Jacinto always does a great job bringing the community together, all the kids, and it was great food, just wonderful. Also, this past Friday, I went to Mexico Lindo restaurant, met with trustees Lorena Chavez and Patty Cortese from Eastside. We were meeting with the feeder districts, the 7 feeder districts, and kind of looking at areas of concern that we had between our districts. So that was very, very good. Hopefully we'll keep those meetings going in future years. And that's my report.
Thank you. And then for my report, just very quickly, I did also attend the Hellier Latino Independence, and I really appreciated Principal Jacinto calling it Latino celebration fiesta, because it was for all cultures of Latin culture. And it was well done. And then I also attended the meeting dinner at Mexico Lindo for the East Side school districts, presidents and vice presidents, and very well done and coordinated. We meet about every 6 months. Okay, so we'll now move on to future business. Are there any agenda item requests from the board? Seeing none, our future dates, our next board meeting, there is a fall break. So we are going to have a little bit of a break between board meetings. Our next board meeting is October 24th here. We're not meeting at a school for the parents yet. And after that, November 14th at 7 p.m. here. And then the final board meeting of the calendar year is December 12th, again at 7 p.m. here. We do not need to go back into closed session, so I will now accept a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is now adjourned.